Welcome, everybody, to the CrossFire podcast, and tonight is going to be lit. We've got a lot to talk about. We've got a great cast with us tonight. And, tonight's one of the special nights. I usually try to bring – I've got a couple of Fridays that I think are going to be great for the audience. Tonight's, I just figured, I had a few people reach out to me. I reached out to a few others. I wanted to bring some gamers in here, people that are just massively interactive with people on Twitter, not shy to give their opinion on things. And we've had some great news break. Let's just be honest, everybody. Okay, we've had some wonderful news break, whether it be Sea of Thieves, Far Cry information coming out. Now we're seeing different things that are going on with the Xbox UI.
I'm out of here, man. My bad.
Yeah, it's okay. You can bounce. I don't have the sound effects. J-Dubs, get in here. But we've got some great people. I'll go down really, really quick. We'll start with my usual suspects here. The one, the only, Senor Crap Gamer. Crap, welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy to be here. Another Friday, kicking it back. Let's have a good time, and looking forward to it. Let's go.
Nice, brother. Nice, brother. That's good. See, that's what I like. Crap has totally been working on the fast intros and fast outros. We've got to hurry this up. That's what he's telling me.
Well, Crap's going to be first in line for that game, Gravel. I saw it on Twitter.
You do? And yeah. I think Xbot is the only one that he keeps these things going forever and ever and ever. Like, in between each one, he's like, and I'm Xbot, and that's my message. Let me go to my Italian paisan down there in Florida, which is slowly sinking. Clowns, what's up, buddy? How are you?
Hey, what's going on, Mooch? Always a pleasure being here, trying to speed up the intro just like Crap did. And, I got a calzone on the way. What's up, everybody?
Sounds like you're on speed. That's fantastic. Nice work. And then my buddy Xbot448, usually confused with 844. Buddy, how are you tonight?
What's going on, everybody? Mooch, I've had a really bad week, man.
I've seen the ups and downs of Xbot's life on Twitter. So.
Well, what it is K Mega this entire week, because he won the poll for the gameplay for next podcast. It's done nothing but rub it in. But I got something for him this Saturday, man. I got a tutorial of sorts. But what's going on, chat? I'm gonna make this quick. Let's get into the topics. Let's go.
Well, I want to say shout out to K Mega though. When I saw he did win that, because that poor man, he gets so much slack for the games and what he plays. He deserves a victory in games because he does play a lot of games. Next one of my usual suspects, Signore Bombastic Boom. What's up, buddy? Welcome to the show tonight. How are you?
Oh, I'm super excited to be here. It's going to be a fantastic show. I'm glad that we're bringing in new people. And I do stay tuned because I have an announcement at the end.
Yes. I just saw that tweet, buddy. It was a great way to put it out there, too. You got me thinking I was actually going to DM you and say, what the hell is it? I need to know. But inquiring mooches always
Supersonic is pregnant. And that's
there it is, folks. Thanks. My buddy Alan Walsh from FullThrottle.com. Alan, welcome back again. Listen, I don't know if necessarily this was the hottest news week, but there's a lot of news that broke that gamers want to talk about, and you've got input on them. How you been?
Yeah, it's been a good week. Thanks for having me again on the show, Mooch. Definitely a lot of things to discuss.
Yeah, no, I definitely think so. That's why I wanted to bring the games cast in here with this this crew of gamers. Let me start with my unusual suspects. My gaming specialty tonight. I'm bringing in Jamie Moran. He's known as the GIF and meme master of all. Jamie, welcome to the show. It's been a very long time since you've been on CrossFire, and we missed you, buddy.
Yeah, all right, everyone. I'm happy to be here, and I've got vodka, so if I go off at some point, you know why.
That's fine. That's fine. We encourage that on the show, but I'm a little disappointed that's not a large, cold, frosty bowl of Strongbow that you constantly are promoting, buddy.
Oh, that's in the freezer.
Thank God. Thank God. Everybody sit down and rest assured that'll come out later on. And then my buddy here, he's not afraid to talk about anything. Salty Gaming. Salty, what's up, buddy? Welcome to the show I think it's the first time you've been on Crossfire. It certainly won't be the last. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Mooch? Thanks for having me on. We have some great topics tonight. I'm excited. The reason why I'm here is because of Boom's secret announcement. I saw that on Twitter.
That's actually the only reason I had the show tonight, to be honest. No, listen, guys. Let's start it off with an interesting subject while we kind of let the audience kind of shuffle in. YouTube does a semi-decent job of alerting people when people go live.
Really needs to share this out, people.
Yeah, share it out, folks.
They're not doing their job.
They don't. They just don't. Hit the bell. Hit this. Nothing goes out. It doesn't matter. Anyways, so nonetheless. Shut that damn door. No. Thank you, crap. But what I was going to say was basically the big thing that people were talking about was the E3 news floor or the showroom floor. And, the reason I kind of want to get into that first and foremost tonight before we get into the other subjects is Alan Walsh, who's, a part of Crossfire, also big in the media, worked for AR12 Gaming before he started his own gig with Full Throttle. He was there last year. So, Alan, I'm going to kind of tap you on the shoulder here. it's not that Microsoft's floor, I don't think it was even last year, bigger than Sony's, but my claim to fame here is that Microsoft takes up a decent chunk of floor space, which costs money per square foot, and then they have their satellite stations that they have all their shows on throughout the week. So when Aaron Greenberg came out and said that's not entirely true when you're looking at that map, what I'm taking from that is, yes, that chunk you saw on the map might actually be Microsoft's spot, but that's all they need because they're actually in satellite locations all over E3. Can you elaborate to see if that's true, or what was your take between Sony and Microsoft's floor space?
So, yeah, it's definitely, I can say that Sony's floor space at last year's E3 was a lot bigger, but that's because they did all the Activision stuff as well. Right. So they had big areas for Destiny 2, Call of Duty, and Star Wars Battlefront as well, actually. So they had big areas for those games, and plus they have a massive press center that the ordinary public can't even get into. So when it comes to floor space, who does it affect? It only affects attendees. That's always my look at it. It only affects the people who are at the show. The less floor space a company has, the less stations there's going to be and the bigger the queues are. Now, the issue with E3 as a whole, since they've started doing consumer tickets, is that it's very packed. The Los Angeles Convention Center, it isn't huge. And the problem with that is it did mean last year it was quite crowded inside there. And I believe this year they're selling even more consumer tickets. So it's going to be quite crowded inside that building. And I think the Xbox booth will probably have quite a lot of queues. Microsoft's booth last year was buzzing. And I mean that, though, in a good way. Like, there was a lot of people there to check out the Xbox One X. And in their booth, they did have a little area where they did their live stream shows during the week. And they also had their press center as well for their behind closed doors demo. Now, Microsoft's booth last year I thought was great. And as well as that, the booths, they're a lot bigger than what they look like on the floor plans. You know, they're a lot bigger when you're in person. So Microsoft's booth last year was fine. They also had quite a big area sectioned off for an Xbox One X enhanced, kind of like demo experience where people could see the console and see enhanced titles and whatnot. It was sealed off from the rest of the booth. And the thing with that is they're not going to need that this year. So technically, they can have less floor space and still have the same amount of stations because of that.
I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, and ask Alan away, ask away because he was there. I personally, here's the thing. The E3 press, I understand they've opened it up to more people and gamers get to go out there. But frankly, this is a who gives a shit moment for me because I frankly, coming from sitting over here in New York and watching everything via YouTube or on Xbox's E3 coverage, I don't care. I care about the hour and a half they're on stage, and I care about the shows that Major Nelson does throughout the week with special guest developers and maybe exclusive deals they've signed.
Well, Mooch,
go ahead.
I look at this one way, and Alan, correct me if you think, if my opinion is wrong here. Now, last year they showed a lot of stuff, and when you have a lot of stuff that's playable, you need a bigger space. Right. What a lot of people were talking about with Xbox is the fact that they're not showing anything like a year and a half, 2 years out. So I think with this E3, I think they have a great lineup this year. They showed most of the games that are coming out, until holiday this year, and they showed that last year. I think they're really going to focus on those titles that people have been kind of like rumoring, like the Fable, maybe Perfect Dark, the reboot, and stuff like that. Stuff that might not necessarily be playable, but stuff that's going to get, gamers like really hyped up. So why would they need such a big, spot if their main focus at this year's E3 is showing kind of like the future, because they've already shown last year and this year at last year's E3.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's also worth pointing out that like the actual stations where each person plays the games on, they actually don't take up that much space. They can get a lot of those into a very small area. With Sony's booth and Nintendo as well, they use a lot of props and decoration. And I mean a lot, like huge, massive statues and things like that. Mm-hmm. So, and those do take up a lot of space. So the thing is, with Microsoft, I think for them is they just want enough space to cover the games they'll have there. What's the point in paying for extra space if they feel they don't need it?
Well, that's the whole thing. That's what I was trying to say. This is, you pay per square foot, and you only have to have so many stations out. And I'll be honest with you, the hype and this false cloud of hype is what gets people more and more excited. Like if I turn around and say, "Crap, where are you coming from, dude? I just came from playing, Crackdown 3." Oh, where is it? It's over there. They've only got like 2 machines though. The line's around the corner. It makes people want to get in fucking line. You know, I got to play this. I got to play this, right? If you have 75 stations and there's 4 people at each station, like people are like, I'll play it later.
Mooch, I gotta say, with going to PAX East last year, and I think Clowns can, he can back me up on this. Xbox was there. Their booth wasn't about like any big kind of overdoing it in terms of like statues or anything like that. It was all straight substance. I mean, they had the custom consoles, but they were in the walls, like and glassed out and lit up and stuff like that. But the entire booth was pretty much playable games, and that's it. Like there was.
I want to
fanciness, man.
I want to add to that Xbox too, because at PAX East, the Xbox area was more organized than some of the other areas.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Fantastic job.
But like I said, it was no extra fanciness. You had the Xbox screen, and then it was just games. They had like rows and rows of games to play.
It's the biggest non-issue ever.
What's that?
I said it's the biggest non-issue ever.
It really is.
It is.
Yeah,
it's not even worth talking about. Just
Crab's totally right. I'll say this: Microsoft's booth last year, they had quite a lot of game stations there, both first party and third party. They had Xbox One X's, Xbox One S's. They had Forza 7 motion sim rig. Now that thing had quite a large queue for it because it was only the one sim rig, and they had a design lab area where you could make your own controller, and they had the Porsche car and whatnot, and that Xbox One X demo experience I was talking about, and they have their small little press center, and it was fine. Like, yes, it was packed, but the whole of the E3 building was packed because of the consumer tickets. So
that's the thing, and I think that's where it comes from, Crap. So you get a lot of the consumers saying, well, I want to see a big floor, I'm going there for a big show. But realistically, when it comes down to true gaming news, it doesn't matter because the show is all about what's being broadcast over YouTube, Xbox, etc.
Yeah.
So it's really about the press, and I don't care if the press has to wait a long time to play. They usually don't.
Want a huge booth space, you have to do what EA has done and do your own separate event outside of the convention center, because it's packed and there's so much demand for space in that building. It's probably really, really expensive. I'd imagine it's actually cheaper for EA to do their own thing at the Hollywood Palladium away from everyone else.
Right. Also, I just want to add to that. If you remember, this is kind of like a rinse and repeat kind of a thing, because last year in the beginning, the press made a really big deal about their booth being smaller than the year before. They're like, wow, it's half the size. They have no games, and they showed 42 games.
Right.
So I don't think that anyone should really take this. And here's the other thing. And again, of course, we're not going to go down this the media hates Xbox shenanigans. So we've been beating that horse to death. The poor thing is glue already. So let it go. But I am going to say this. There has been so much positive Xbox news that the first something negative, it was like blood in the water with sharks. They just frenzied because, hey, it's the first negative thing that they could say about Microsoft. Let's run with this. Oh my God, it's the size of a dime on the map. It's so small they have no games. So I really think people should take
why? Here's my thing when it comes down to it, okay, with the media, and that's fine. I kind of agree with what you're saying there, Boom. My whole thing is this. Why wouldn't they, like, when this is happening, you would think that the people in the media would say, like, this is not a big deal, or, some of the people, like, and I'm not even talking maybe the media, but how about big YouTubers, like the Boogies out there, or the Angry Joes, say, guys, you don't understand, we're there all the time, and the fact that you take up a smaller amount of floor space truly doesn't matter, but a lot of times these guys add a little injury to insult. So that's what kind of keeps this thing parlaying. And it's funny because that's what makes this thing go from a snowball into an actual avalanche.
Well, you also, again, not defending or jumping on anybody, but, everyone's in for clicks. Nobody wants to. I mean, think about this for a second. Again, I'm a very small YouTube guy. I only started a couple of months ago, and I've been rolling pretty good. But one of my personal big takes away from it is I won't refuse to put something that's clickbaity out there, because I'm doing this for the love. Right. I love gaming, and I love creating my own content that people might enjoy. So you're never going to see me do a clickbait article. I don't like that. But a lot of these guys who do these articles that do have that try to grab the emotion of the Xbox fan, whether it's good or bad, is just trying to pay their bills, and that sometimes sucks.
Yeah, it depends.
When I heard the news, I thought it was a joke at first, but
so did I.
You know, after I looked into it, I kind of looked at it. I was like, wow, I mean, the fanboy narrative is kind of extending out into boost size. But
yeah, and I saw your video, dude. It was really well done. Really well done.
If you look at last year's E3, for an example, PlayStation had a big booth, and then they had a carbon copy of 2016's E3 and had 15 minutes of VR coverage. And then Xbox, you know, is coming with the games with 40 plus games. So right there, that just blows us out of the water.
I've got to say this.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jamie.
From like a cynical Brit point of view, in 2015 or might have been 16, Nintendo had the biggest floor space ever. It was on every like GameSpot and IGN thing, and then everyone was raving about it. They had one game. Yes, Microsoft, it's a smaller booth. No one gives, but everyone all of a sudden cares. But the thing is, they don't have a new console or any hardware to show off this year. Maybe some VR, but we don't know yet. But we could just be getting a bunch of games and like smaller booths for people to play on. No big statues or any of that garbage. Like, I think it's a non-issue.
Yep. They'll have, like, you know, this year I can imagine they'll have their car from Forza, they'll have their sim rig. Those will be their only big ornaments. Everything else will be stations to play on. They'll probably be all Xbox One X's, and they'll have their press center, and that's it. And it'll do the job. They'll probably have a couple hundred consoles there.
Yeah, I mean, myself personally, I think I want to kind of take what everyone's saying and even kind of add on to what Salty started saying. Okay, first of all, shout out to Stop 6 Doc. Thank you for the support, brother. Appreciate that. But I do want to say this much. Last year, the emphasis was on the fact that there was a rumor that came out that said something along the lines, and crap, you really did a great video on it. You basically said something along the lines of that they started freaking people out that Microsoft was going to have a shorter show. They ended up going longer than an hour and a half. And then Sony
Twitch put out that they were doing an hour-long show, and then Greenberg said no, it's gonna be longer than that. And everybody was bashing them. It was because they had no games to show off. And then it turned out Sony actually were the ones that had less than an hour show. So
exactly,
nobody said shit afterwards, though. Just saying.
Yeah, and that's it. No, not only worse than that crap. If they had said nothing afterwards, I would have actually been okay with that. They actually went ahead and still said that Sony won E3. So I thought that was. I mean, again, this was the IGN panel. Which, you know, a lot of people say, well, Mooch, why do you have to give them the credit that they have, because they're the ones that have 10 million subscribers and growing. That shit keeps going, folks. I can't figure it out. But yet people go there because that's the casual, right? Okay, thank you for my Flintstones edition of but nonetheless, folks, this is what I'm saying. I don't get that. That's why when I think this kind of news comes out, I think it's good to have Alan, who was there last year, and then Jez Corden, who was on Crossfire last week, also reiterated quickly that when this thing was kind of being talked about, guys, it's not that big of a deal. That has nothing to do with actually a representation of E3 or Microsoft's presence at E3. Again, without beating that into a drum, the other thing, crap, I kind of want to ask you about this. Me and you were talking about it. I decided to put it in the topics. We were talking about like the developers, and you know, I started something 3 years ago. Okay, when we were talking about Diablo 3, when Diablo 3 was first coming to Xbox One and PlayStation 4. It was rumored that the Xbox edition would not hit 1080p. And I said, this is bullshit. It's absolute and utter bullshit, because there was games that were putting out this kind of magnitude on Xbox and they were hitting 1080p. Why can't they? And I started #LazyDevs. And, you know, this kind of comes about every so often. It doesn't happen nearly as much as it used to. And then, of course, by the way, Diablo 3 did end up launching at 1080p when it got enough backlash for why aren't you? And they couldn't really answer that. Nonetheless, here we are again, crap, where you were saying yourself, you're playing like Shadow of the Colossus, you're playing some of these remakes that are made by these third-party, you know, Blue Point, etc. And you're like, it seems like they're putting a little extra TLC into the Sony games. And I kind of agree with you. It's nothing that's major, but it's something that I do notice. Like, take, for example, one of the big games, Assassin's Creed, right? Assassin's Creed looks better. Origins looks better on the X. But my God, it's almost like they pull every single string in the book to get the PS4 Pro looking great. And that wasn't the case earlier this generation. When it was the Xbox, they were like, 720p, that shit. Get it out of here. You know what I mean? So, like, they just sent it out. And I'm like, can't you guys try to get it to 900? How about getting it to 1079p? Can we come close? And they just were like, no, it's the best we can do. Crap, what were you kind of seeing with your own eyes that kind of brought that up?
Well, I mean, you know, when I hook up my PlayStation 4 Pro just via directly to the TV, 4K HDR, and then you just place it. Even though I'm not a fan of Horizon Zero Dawn, or I didn't like the latest Uncharted DLC or whatever that was, or I'm playing The Last Guard or what the hell, Shadow of the Colossus. Yeah,
same thing.
And like what I've done lately is I played these games and then I go right back onto the Xbox One X, and I've noticed, particularly, I was like just looking through Shadow of the Colossus, and I was like, holy shit, this really is a graphical showpiece. Like, it might look better than almost anything on Xbox One X.
Yeah.
And
it
same thing.
Very good.
Yeah. And then I was like, well, let me pop in something else. So I pop in Horizon Zero Dawn. I don't know if that thing got some kind of updates, but that thing really shines too. And same thing with the Uncharted game. And I was like, holy shit. So what I did was then is I loaded up Titanfall 2. For some reason, Titanfall 2 to me looked crisper and more colorful on the PS4 Pro than it did on the X.
Yeah.
So that had me kind of scratching my head, like, why is that the case? I get that the exclusives, they spend a little bit more time, but then why aren't, I mean, I guess we haven't really seen yet because they haven't really released any exclusives. I'm sure it'll be a little bit different story when they start to release them, but it does make you scratch your head a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, do you guys see this in the panel? I mean, does anybody else notice these things that has a PS4 or Pro to kind of make these comparisons? Crap and I were having a pretty decent conversation about it, and I kind of agreed with him. And he kind of brought it up out of the blue, but it hadn't been something that didn't cross my mind. I just sometimes think, and there's no proof here, it's just kind of speculation and discussion, because you do play a game like Shadow of the Colossus, which, by the way, I'm truly enjoying the game. That last, by the way, anybody who's paying attention, that last Colossus, that last Colossi, or whatever they want to call it, that last one's a bastard, only because you're playing with 15-year-old mechanics in that game.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Right, the last one is a ton of jumping puzzles. That's why I find it difficult. The game actually itself isn't that difficult, but my God, that last one. But no, the game looks great. And I just think that sometimes a little extra TLC has been going into this. And I mean, does anybody else notice that? Have you guys seen this on the panel, or it's just something that kind of goes by the way of the dodo bird these days?
Well, no, here's the thing. I'm sorry for interrupting, Bob.
I want to hear, Boom.
Listen, regardless of what console is your main system, you have to tip your cap to when Sony does a game that's a first party. Okay.
Right.
They pull out all of the stops. And unfortunately, we're in a position as Xbox fans that we really can't compare because we've been dry with first party stuff.
Right.
Like Sea of Thieves, I posted video of it. Everyone's been, doing Twitch streams and this stream and that stream. The game looks gorgeous. It's beautiful to look at. I mean, obviously the water, we've gushed over it. But when you look at Shadow of the Colossus, you really just, you're really taken aback on how gorgeous the game, mind you, this game is 15 years old and it's redone. Yes, but it's, it's amazing to look at. And I feel that, like, for me personally, the only comparison that I could make is of a third-party game when I play Assassin's Creed Origins on my 4K TV with the HDR. It's magical.
Right.
So I want to say this. I hope that as Xbox fans, we're going to get those types of games, whether it's the Fable, whether it's the Project, the Perfect Dark, whatever. I don't want carbon copies of those Sony games. I want something to be able to compare and say, okay, Microsoft really pulled out all of the stops on this new game, and I'm blown away. I think that's what we're all wanting.
I think we're being a little premature when it comes to this conversation. Maybe on the third party developer side, but when it comes to first party, I mean, we saw Sea of Thieves in the beta, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's not even, that has none of the enhancements or anything like that. That's a straight Xbox One version, and it's not even the finished version at that. So this year is when we're going to see, the Sea of Thieves, State of Decay 2, Crackdown, Forza Horizon 4 is probably going to melt faces, man.
Yes.
You saw what they did with 3. Can you imagine now with the Xbox One X and being able to build that like from the beginning with that console in mind?
Which is the main platform for that game as well.
Exactly. So I think when it comes to first party, and guys, I mean, I want Shadow of the Colossus. I just haven't had the extra money to get it yet. I do want that game. But we cannot ignore the fact that besides the Colossus and besides your character and the horse, there's nothing else in that world. So when it comes to the system memory and what the system can do, or what the developers can write for that system, they don't really have too much in terms of like AI or anything like that to put into it. So they can go strictly graphics all the way through that.
That is true. There's not a lot. There's not a lot going on in the world. The world's very empty. So basically a blank canvas.
And they just kind of, they just kind of retooled a little bit, kind of like the gameplay mechanics. So they're using the older gameplay as well. If that game didn't come out looking like one of the greatest like graphical games on that platform, there's something wrong.
Well, I will say this much, and I kind of want to ask Jamie and Salty because I haven't asked them. I've not really gotten. I know what you guys all own or don't own. Salty, do you guys, Jamie, chime in? Do you guys have PS4s?
So I don't have a PS4 yet, but I loved Shadow of Colossus on the PS2. My only issue is that gaming's evolved, and Gears of War Ultimate Edition didn't get this much hype, even though it's practically a new game, like with the new visuals and everything being original assets and whatnot. But I'll get the remake when I get a PS4, but I don't understand the hype. I love Shadow of Colossus. I have the original collector's edition in the bloody cardboard box.
Right.
But I just don't get it.
Salty, what about you? Do you have a PS4 currently?
No, I've told people my history. Like I started off Nintendo and then I went straight Xbox, the original 360 one. I've been in that ecosystem. I do want to get a PlayStation.
You don't hear every day either. Going Nintendo to Xbox.
Yeah, it's weird, right? But like when I see Shadow of the Colossus, it just seems like I've watched a lot of gameplay. It looks good, but the world looks empty to me. And that's a real if I see that in a game, it's kind of a setback for me.
Salty, it's supposed to be. That's what I get all the time. It's supposed to be, and I get you. If it's supposed to be, it's supposed to be. All I'm saying that when it comes to a developer's standpoint, if you need that empty world, you can make that world look the best it can possibly look. And
when you're looking at immersion, the immersion factor for when I'm playing a game, if I'm walking through places with trees and grass and there's absolutely no wildlife going on, it takes away from my experience, right? When I'm doing Monster Hunter World, there's like little ants crawling all over the ground and there's wildlife. It feels more immersive. I know they're two totally different games, but that's one of the knocks on the game. It doesn't mean that I wouldn't enjoy the game because I definitely would pick it up. But another thing that I would have to ask for the people that have been playing it is how are the textures, the lighting?
Fucking amazing.
Yeah,
they're good. They're good.
Fucking amazing.
Okay. Yeah, the lighting is spot on. There is a little bit of pop in. But I mean, that's listen, get understand something. And Salty, I think Salty, Jamie may be a smidgen younger, but we're all in that same kind of age group, right? We came in an age group where we were playing and I was a huge, actually we got that in common, huge Nintendo guy. Okay. I did have a PS2 era in there in between before I went Xbox. But my point being is that we came from an era where we were playing Castlevania. You were Simon Belmont. You made that last jump just before you fought Dracula, and you fell through a non-existent hole. And that was the life that we all grew up with, and we thought that was okay. When a glitched game ruined your entire life, we only had 3 lives to start. Right? So nowadays people are it's funny because when people watch Richard Ledbetter and these guys at Digital Foundry, they're now if you watch slowly here, that one tree in the far left corner, that leaf right there. Rewind it, Kevin. Rewind it. Let's see that leaf again. What? Why are we looking at that leaf? So I don't really have a problem with certain amounts of pop-in. That could be, there are other games where it does. But yeah, I kind of feel that same way. But like Crap's saying, the game is it's a marvel to the eyes. But let's remember something here, okay? I know we've been really using it a lot the past couple of weeks here, but the whole nostalgia factor, folks, I think that kind of takes people a little too far, right? And I think that's what you were saying. I think that's what Jamie's saying is Jamie's I played the old one. Why are we still talking about this? I think everyone kind of gets hung up on a great memory. And the one that I use as an example is I went and bought the SNES Mini there. And when I did, I couldn't wait. I got it home. I opened it, threw it on. They had a Super Castlevania on there. I launched it immediately. I played first 2 levels, just enjoying it. And then after I got done, I was kind of man, in my mind, this looked a lot better. And you know what I mean? That's just the way things are. So sometimes your memory is best to be served as your nostalgia. You don't always have to go buy these remakes. But I digress a bit here. I do kind of want to move on. This is an interesting subject. I think everyone has a lot to say on because it affects everybody on this panel and everybody listening's wallet. People in the industry, okay, Digital Foundry being one of the latest, but it had come out before in leaks and rumors, etc. That next generation, folks, might be 2019, when we were all thinking it was 2020 and 2021. Myself personally, someone who just loves hardware, new hardware to come out and make things better, brighter, faster, stronger. All of that, I like that stuff. However, I will say this: me just getting a Pro, I got a Pro probably a good 6 months after it launched. I did get the X on day one. I'm not necessarily at this point as excited as I normally would be, or even as I was with the mid-gen refreshes of the two we have now, about 2019. So I kind of want to open it up to the panel. Where do you guys see yourselves if 2019 really is the year that Sony and Microsoft decide to strike a new generation on?
I've got something to say on this,
man. Me too.
So, I love new hardware, but I just got the X. Do I want it to come out this year? No, that's not going to happen. Next year, this is the thing. I understand what's going to happen if Microsoft don't release their console in the same year as the next PlayStation. It's going to be
a hellmouth.
Yeah. So as much as I'd like to say, oh no, maybe 2020, 2021 for the new Xbox, I'm saying they should do it because they can't do a year after PlayStation, because look what the 360 did. The 360, even though it may have sold slightly less than the PS3 in the end run, people think of the PS3 as the best system last gen. But well, basically it was. But Microsoft can't do it. Like, they'll just be further behind than they are already now. And to be honest, if that's the case, I say release it.
Right. What about you, Salty? You said you want to chime in?
Yeah, man. So I got an X, right? And my thought process behind when the next generation's coming out is not affected by that because it's a mid-gen refresh. We know what we were getting into when we got that.
Right.
Like, they could come out with it in, 2019 or whatever, but I don't think that's happening because if you take a look back at the last generation, it was extended because, certain reasons, but the consoles were selling well.
They were making money.
They're making money. That's exactly. So who's making money right now? And it's just hand over fist. It's PlayStation. They're making money on the Slim. They're making, 70 million consoles. It's still pushing it out. So they don't, in my opinion, they don't really have a reason necessarily to push to the next generation. And more than likely, they can milk this money till 2020, 2021. And then if that's the case, then Microsoft holds, their cards close to their vest and waits until they drop it, and then they drop the system at the same time, right?
All right. I got a couple quick things to say here. First off, I still believe it's 2020. And now, with everything I've looked into, I think that they're going to drop the same year. I think the PlayStation 5 and the next Xbox, whatever you want to call it, is going to drop the same year. And the reason why being, when it comes to the hardware of the Xbox One X, they basically got kind of like the infrastructure down already. And the only thing they have to do is see which CPU, which GPU they're using, because they just slot those in to the Xbox One X architecture. And the power gains go through the roof anyway. So with that being said, they don't need an extra year of either research and development or anything like that. They probably have the least amount of R&D to go through because they already did it with the Xbox One X. Now, with that being said, I'm saying 2020 because it would be a true, it would make the PS4 Pro a true mid-gen refresh. And, it would take away a year on the Xbox One X, but I don't think Microsoft is too worried about that because they're looking at it as an ecosystem. So they look at it like, well, if you have the X, you enjoy the X, the games that come out even after the new Xbox comes out, you can play it on your X anyway. So why would we hold back putting out the new hardware? It's been like 3 years since, the Xbox One X came out, and I feel like Microsoft wouldn't have a problem dropping that in 2020. So I'm saying 2020 for both systems. I don't care what Digital Foundry says.
Also, I was just going to say. No, go ahead, Alan. I'll go after you. Please.
Sorry. I was just going to say I actually completely agree with what Xbox is saying. I think they'll drop in 2020, and because of the way the Xbox One X is being built, and because of how Microsoft believes in kind of like hardware upgrades more than generations, I do think that the next Xbox will be another Xbox One, even if it doesn't have one in the name. I still think it'll be part of that same family. I still think it'll play the same games. Like, over time, the base Xbox One is going to have to be at some stage phased out, but I do think the Xbox One X and the next Xbox One or Xbox will be the two lead main systems that'll kind of go side by side.
Well, interesting. I hope they don't keep that Xbox One.
I think
I want to hear
ready for a 2019 release. I do think there's
been rumors,
winter
clowns
2019.
There's been a lot of rumors coming out that have been saying that, not just the Ledbetter stuff, not just the speculation there. There was someone that broke that, right? I remember Crap did a video on it, Rand did a video on it. Like, you guys were talking about how things were coming out in the woodwork from, quote, I wouldn't use the word insiders because they don't go by that anymore because that's been debunked. But people that have been in conversations with Microsoft, and they said that 2019 is when they're ready to strike. And I originally thought, hey, this is all about, let's see what power is that. If Sony wants to go on stage and put the flag down and say next generation begins on this day, the minute somebody uses strong words like next generation, Microsoft has to follow suit. And the same goes vice versa.
Absolutely.
So I think they have to go day and date. Now, it was funny because shout out to, I don't know, they always go by G4G, so I don't know if that's Moxie in the chat or Avers, but they said, looking at the profitability that they're both making, this is why I kind of agree with those guys at G4G saying, no, there won't be anything in 2019. And the reason being is, look at how well Sony's still doing, being less powerful than the X.
Yeah, and I just want to kind of just jump on that also with
with
Salty's point. Here's the thing. As a Sony fan, I don't think you could be confident that they're ready to put out the next system. Yes, they're making money hand over fist, but you can't even change your name yet. Yes, it's rumored that you're going to be able to do it, but until you can actually do it, it's a rumor. So right now, Sony is in a position that I don't even know if they know what they're going to do for their next system.
You just made a hell of a point, but I'm going to take it and kind of run with the baton.
Please, go right ahead.
We've got so much new blood over at Sony right now. Okay, a lot of the people that have been there for the infrastructure of the end of PS3 into PS4 are gone. Okay, you've got House gone. You've got what's the gentleman there that just left there? CEO Kaz is gone. You lost a little bit there with Boys is gone. They lost a few others.
Their third-party guy is gone.
Third-party guy's gone. Jack Tretton left early on. Right. Yeah. My point where I'm going with this, you're probably going, so Mooch, what are you trying to say? What I'm trying to say is you're going to have all of these new people come in, and then you're going to have a brand new console launch in a year. That's something I think, boom, no one has really kind of brought up, and I like that you sparked that and that thought process.
Oh, Mooch, here's another thing. If you think about it, if these consoles are supposedly dropping in 2019, we'll see over the summer into the holidays, because if these rumors get stronger, and if you see a teaser or something like that at E3, I mean, then you can go on and say that. But until then, I think 2019 will be kind of like the announcement of what's coming in 2020. Because, with Xbox, they don't care. They'll put it out there. They'll be like, yeah, we're coming out with a system in 2020. Stay tuned for more details, all that good stuff. When it comes to Sony, I think they'll be more kind of like flashy with it. Right. Little teasers and this and that. But I think the teasers will come in 2019, but I don't think the systems will drop until 2020, man.
Exactly. Well, the whole industry wants us to get ready for gaming in the cloud, period. Even NVIDIA and GeForce have stuff.
Dude, I vape. I game in the clouds all the time.
But I mean, like, wholly as a streaming service, like, you pay monthly, you get all this game library, you keep paying monthly.
Preach it, clowns. Go ahead.
But you think that's next generation?
We're headed there, man.
I don't think so. I think basically you're talking. I think that'll be available. I think that's going to be a big part as far as accessibility. But I still think next generation is much. And I hate this. That's next generation, guys. I don't want to say it's a letdown. It's not a letdown. But we all know what's coming. Like with this generation, we all were kind of blindfolded, right? Respectfully, we were like, what are we getting? And all these rumors were coming out a year before. Like 2012 was more exciting than 2013. Like it was like, oh my God, they're gonna have this and right, or they're gonna have that. Yeah, and they're gonna do this, and your Xbox is gonna float. And you're like, wow, this shit's crazy.
Mooch, at the end of the day, when it comes to the next iteration of Xbox, I will tell everybody in the chat, everybody on the panel, like, even if you're downing it, this would be a system to have. All right, it's gonna be that intersection system. You talk about, game services, right? It's going to have that on it. You talk about cloud computing. It's going to be more focused on that as well. It's going to have the most options before they go in a more definitive direction. So I think the next Xbox is a must-have for gamers because it's going to have the most options.
Right.
I want to piggyback off of. Go ahead. All right. So I just think games as a service and 60 frames a second is going to be the marker for the next gen systems. You know. So
I think you're kind of on point there, Salty. I think the games as a service is going to become a more elevated option. Let me put it this way. So you're probably going, what are you trying to say? What I'm saying is that when we left 360 to come to this era, okay, we flirted with words like digital, DRM, scared the shit out of people, right? Now everyone we know is on digital, DRM. So I think what'll happen the next, right? So I think it'll happen. I think you're onto something. I think they'll introduce that streaming as a service or the gaming as a service in general. However, as an option, I don't think just because, and there's a lot of people we all podcast with. There's people I know that are still diehard, only use physical disc, and they're enjoying everything we are. They're not left behind at all. Eventually, things will get left behind if we go 2-3 generations from now. So, but I think what I wanted to actually say that I totally agree with is the 60 frames. Now, I think next generation locks 4K 60 in. That does not mean that every game, again, I have to say this, not every game is going to be 4K 60, but it has your machine can totally handle 4K 60 without even sweating a drop off their forehead. It can handle it. It's not a big deal. I think that's the thing. This is why 2019 kind of holds a little bit of water if we stop and do the math. The components that would go into the hardware for a 4K 60 machine in the end of 2019, think about it, basically 2020, folks. Okay, it's November 2019. When that happens, these are accessible and they're very affordable components. Okay, so is it out of reach? It's not out of reach. The question that I thought years ago was, since the X is so powerful, the X could wait the extra year, maybe get it out there cheaper. But you cannot be Microsoft right now and wait even a month after Sony launches, because what will happen is the PS4 era that we know today will completely just transition very nicely, very neatly, as convenient and single file line as Sony wants it, right into PS5. And Microsoft will not be able to steal that crowd again. They need to come out with the 2 Ps. Forget the 1080Ps. 2 Ps. Price and power. They have to somehow beat Sony in power. That doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be in Ps. Whether it be something else, it just can run. It runs smoother, faster. Even if it's the same output, just a little bit better. There's people who have PCs that all can hit 4K 60, but we both know if we put both tower to tower, one's like, listen, dude, my shit's better. And they're like, yeah, it is. You know what I mean? And the other thing is price. Microsoft has to do what the old Nintendo days did, and you have to take a $50, $100 chunk off of your console day one that Sony can't match. It's their only way to try and recoup some of that 360 success that they let go to Sony last year, because the consoles are going to be so comparable, so the same. And I do want to open it up to you guys.
Yeah, well, I just want to jump in real quick because I want to piggyback again on what you're saying. Whenever they get the idea that that particular E3 is going to be the E3 that they unveil that PS5, take a back seat and go last. If anyone that's listening from the Microsoft brass, when their Sony is going to show off that PS5, yes. No. You pull a Sony and you put whatever they put it out for, you drop it $50 and you take the loss.
Boom, boom. I love you like a brother, man. I just want to say that.
They don't even have to announce the price if they show off an Xbox first. Just say, here's our Xbox. Here's what it does. It's a beast, and then wait, and then you can still wait and see, and then later go.
That's a good point, Crab.
Yeah, that is a good point. You know what I mean? Like, you don't got to switch all your stuff around.
No, that's true.
I like them going on their own day.
They gotta hold their ground, man. Don't stoop down to, hey, let's do what Sony does on that whole framework. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that whatsoever. Every time we talk about E3, somebody brings up the fact that Microsoft goes first and this and that or whatnot. But guess what? They have set themselves up hardware-wise. Even Phil Spencer said that they're not relinquishing that power crown anytime soon. All right, they have set themselves up with the hardware that's in the X. Like I said, all they have to do is drop in like a Ryzen CPU and whatever newer GPU unit, and the performance, because of what they did with DirectX 12 physically in the hardware, what they did with organizing the memory and just upgrading the memory. They don't have to do a hell of a lot to still be, to to not let that crown go anywhere, and then just show the games.
Well, there's a gentleman in the chat, Mike M. He says, Mooch, the problem with the analysis you gave is the 7-nanometer FinFET won't be ready for the lower margin customers by Q4 2019. That's something that I have heard as well. I do agree with him on that. That's what kind of sparked the whole reason why 2019 was never really brought up until these rumors had come out and the speculation.
Well, Ledbetter said that those are going to be ready. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
People used to say the same thing with the X, right? They're like, oh, they're going to get delayed because those things aren't coming out till blah, blah, blah. It's different for companies like Microsoft and Sony. The thing that I would say is depending on what Microsoft wants to do, if they're doing what Alan says, then I don't think they're in a hurry to release something. If they're just going to keep with the Xbox One name, they're already doomed because everybody's going to drop.
They may not like. They may do a console that's like similar architecture and work similar to the One X, but they could still drop the name if they wanted to. But it could still be part of the family. If that makes sense.
Yeah, they need a totally new name. You need to start over at ground zero, head to head at the same time as Sony.
I think a new name is fine. Yeah. But they need to make sure it plays all the Xbox One games.
Yeah, well, it will. I mean, it will. It's for me. People drop their current console for the next generation. Yeah, they don't do it for a mid-gen refresh, and that's what Microsoft's finding out right now. Is we got a great console, and it's the best one out right now. Even though, some developers are deciding not to take full advantage of it, which is unfortunate. But to really get in there, you got to start over. Does Microsoft care enough to do that, or are they just happy just doing upgrades here and there, and then just having people with services and things like that? That's the tough question. That
I think that's a great point, Crap. I wonder if that's something I think we're going to get answered. When we find out when next generation comes around.
I'm not so sure they care so much about selling the consoles. You know what I mean? It's like they put them out for us, but they don't really care. It's like, hey, if you want to buy it over here, or whatever. So,
that's a valid
point. It really depends on where their thinking is.
It's worth saying that Microsoft right now, at least what I can see, they seem pretty happy and confident with the Xbox One, Xbox Live, and their services. They do seem pretty happy with it.
Right. No, I mean, I totally agree. What do you guys think is the sweet spot as far as cost goes? We know that,
$399.
Is it $399 again for next gen consoles?
That's to me. That's the sweet spot. I don't particularly enjoy paying like $500.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like
if it's $399, there's no way it's coming out in 2019. If you look at the tech that it would take, like the CPU, especially, I've been talking with dealer and stuff like that because he's all about the tech stuff. Like $399, if they want to hit that mark, I doubt it would be coming out in 2019.
That's kind of that's what Mike M is also saying in the chat. And I mean, I do realize that parts maybe do come out a little bit sooner than originally planned. That like technology is moving at the speed of light here. But realistically, I think I'll kind of roll with you there, Salty. And I think that if 2019 is the release date, I think we're all looking at $499 coming out the bat. And I don't, because listen, Microsoft
even 2020, I think it's 500.
2020?
Even 2020, I think it's 500.
When Project Scorpio was first announced, I always maintained that it was going to be $499, and everyone said I was wrong because Microsoft would not make that mistake again. And I'm like, it'll be $499. They're not selling that thing for $400. And then, sure enough, just before E3, Jeff Keighley put out the rumor that it was $500, and then at the conference it was announced as at $500. Now, personally, myself, I don't mind if the console is $500. I don't mind if I'm getting a good product. I don't mind it being $500, but I do get that for the casual mass audience, that is an issue. I do get that.
We don't want to repeat.
I want to give you guys some food for thought though here that nobody's thinking about. I'm part of GeForce Now just because I'm a hacker. They let me into the program to test it, and right now GeForce Now is backed by thousands of 1080 GTX 1080 Ti's in the cloud. Right, so the hardware on my computer can only the lowest requirement is Intel i3, and I could run games super fast with no latency. So think about that for the future.
That's a great point.
Streaming like that.
That is a great point.
Yeah, no, I saw that tech that came. That's it's out, and they're saying rumored to be. I don't know when that's going to hit the masses. But I mean, I guess my biggest issue here with the whole thing is I don't necessarily have a problem also, Alan, with the $500 price tag, but that's a problem for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that's I gotta say it's much more of a valid concern than I originally thought. When the 360 era came to an end and Microsoft said $499 with the Kinect and this and that, I personally liked the features that they were bringing to the whole thing. I didn't think the whole 900p 1080p. I liked that.
Well. I liked it too. Yeah.
Right. I was getting a controller, a console, and the Kinect for $499. I thought that was a good. I didn't have a problem with that as a consumer. That's me personally. But the majority of people did because they didn't want some of that tech that was in the box. The question I have for you guys now is, here's where I'm at. Now that I see how minuscule they're going to make us pay these mid-gen consoles, a lot of us have Pros and X's, and a lot of us own Vanillas and Xbox Ones. So I'm not necessarily as excited about the mid-gen update if they're just going to have a mid-gen refresh and then 2 years later they're going to up me again. You guys see where I'm coming from? I don't know if necessarily next generation, are they planning to do mid-gen consoles again, or did they do this just because they both got caught with their pants down and they underperformed? Because listen, you can sit here and tell me how much better 1080p is than 900p. First of all, I think you're full of it. Number two, to be honest with you, that was a small jump in my eyes, where both of them were in the 720p category. Sony a little bit less in the PS3 era. That was a small jump. Now that we're at 4K or flirting with 4K, I don't. And next gen's going to be 4K 60. I don't know if I'm ready to pay them another $400 or $500 3 years down the line for a mid-gen refresh. That's what I think. So was this more of an oops to you guys, this mid-gen refresh, or was this a?
I think it's a Band-Aid just to hold us over. Yep.
Okay, so we're all thinking that.
I'd like to compare it to maybe plugging your thumb into a dam, because both of the listen, we understand that the PS4 launched with a little bit more power because of what they took out of the Xbox One for the Kinect. But both systems, if you ask most people, they were a little let down by the power. They expected a bigger jump from 360 and PS3 to the Xbox One and PS4. So that's why we have the mid-gen refreshes. That's why we're at now in this part of the gaming generation.
I think guys, we have the X. We have the X because of Phil Spencer's game plan, pretty much, man.
I think
they might have had it in research and development before time, but there was no, it didn't have to come out. But Phil Spencer wanted to take care of that whole power agenda that was going on, and he did that. You know what I'm saying? He's done everything that he said he was going to do so far, and now he's coming with the games like he said he was going to do. Yeah.
Crap, what were you saying? You were saying something along, it depends on how it sells?
Yeah, I mean, I seriously doubt Sony does a mid-gen refresh again. Theirs is selling incredibly piss poor. I think theirs was in general just to help VR.
I think it was a VR boost, yeah.
Microsoft's was horribly underpowered, horribly.
Right.
Just horribly underpowered. It's hard to really... we were sold bullshit because of Kinect, and they did fix that. They fixed it a little bit with the S even. Yeah, if the S would have been the console they would have launched with, we would have been much better off to begin with.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I want to piggyback off of that as well. I think that we had a problem. The next gen didn't fill next gen in the beginning, and then PlayStation came out with the Pro, and that was specifically for VR, even though they didn't say it. Right. They couldn't. They couldn't say it. So that was for the VR. So their mid gen was not really a mid gen; it was for VR. And then you had the Xbox that was underpowered because of the Kinect, and then they had to make up for that. So then the X came out. So I don't think these mid gens are going to be a thing going forward. I think they're going to, do the next gen, and then that's it.
So this is interesting. I think everyone kind of agrees that this is kind of a Band-Aid. And I think by sales, I think you're going to see that, because I think the X is doing well and it's holding its own for a $500 piece of machinery. But overall, you're not seeing launch numbers. Okay. So, I mean, that's kind of a big thing. I do think this is clowns. I think you and Boom nailed it with the Band-Aid and the thumb and the dam. I really think it was just a big oops. And with Sony, I kind of wanted, this will parlay into my next conversation here. With Sony doing this PS4 Pro for for VR. I mean, ultimately, because they couldn't say it, like Salty was saying, Salty, they couldn't say that, right? So if they didn't say that, I necessarily, as a PS4 vanilla, but that was the word on the street. I kind of feel like I didn't want to jump into PSVR because I felt like I don't have a machine that can handle PSVR. And now PSVR is $199, guys. We should talk about it. I don't know if I believe they're saying it's limited time, but this is a big sale. Myself included, I said when it becomes $199, that's when I would jump in. I happened to get it gifted earlier, but nonetheless, what do you guys think? Are you guys, now that it's $199, are you guys willing to take the dive into the PSVR?
I'm considering it. I think $199 is a perfect price point to try it out.
Yeah, I can't argue that.
It's a good
I think they're just setting up for the future. I think they're trying to sell as many of these as possible now because they know that, you know, their rivalries in this business are going to be announcing this at E3 as well for their system. So they want to get as many out there. Good point. Before that happens.
I mean, a lot of people are saying Xbox is going to be coming out with they're calling it mixed reality sets, which is basically made from, you know, everybody's making them for them. It's not going to be a Microsoft product. It's going to be made by
Acer, was it Hewlett Packard? Those just to name a couple.
HP is a big one.
Yeah, what they'll wind up doing is teaming up with one of them and making a branded one, but that it's going to be, I mean, you'll be able to use third-party devices, but I think that Microsoft will pick a particular one and make like a package deal, like, hey, you get everything and you get this Xbox game that's, for VR. I think that's where they're going. And I have to say, I know Crap, he's a huge fan. I'm right there with him. I love PlayStation VR. As a matter of fact, I loved it so much that I privately sold my old one and bought the new hardware for myself this holiday as my own kind of like gift to you.
I've been doing this asking everybody that says this. Boom. And be honest. You've always been honest. How often are you using that VR?
Well, okay. So now here's the thing. I will say this. If a game comes out like The Inpatient, I'll be playing it more than anything. If I beat The Inpatient, which I have not played it since. So it's not that there's anything wrong with it or that I don't like it. It's just that, and I know this is going to sound pretty petty. It is kind of a pain in the ass. That's, plug the wires in, get the,
get the chair, put a chair in front of the camera.
It's a bit of a setup. And you know what? Even though it's not that big of a deal, please don't take this as me like bashing it. I love my PlayStation VR.
Well, I mean, it's not like pouring cement, but in the world of gaming, okay,
you just want to pick up your controller and go. That's
why everybody on this panel right now is a console gamer for the most part, right? I mean,
yes,
I sit at a desk. A lot of us sit at a desk all the time. The reason I don't really game PC doesn't really interest me in that nature is I love having the controller. I hit the illuminated button on the Xbox controller. It turns on my Xbox. It turns on my TV, right? I mean, guys, this is why we've all kind of grown and stayed in that console generation. We've stayed in that mecca of the world. VR, for me personally, does a few things that I don't like. It's what Boom's saying. You have to get the chair, pull it up, have a side table, because sometimes you have to use the controller to set up. And you put the controller down, get the move sticks out. And then when you get done with that, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, is my headset foggy? I take it off for a second. You do feel it after 45 minutes. It does feel like, if anyone can say, well, Mooch, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Let me tell you what it's like. After 45 minutes of straight VR, whether it be an intense game or even something like Star Trek Bridge Crew, which Crap will tell you, we had a good time with it, but you do have to take a break. It's like if you were reading like a book for like 3 hours and your head just hurts from staring at the paper that long. It's kind of like that. You got to take a break. So my whole thing with VR is, now I want to kind of ask Jamie and Salty here, because a lot of the other folks here on the panel have PlayStations. Are you guys going to jump in head first if Phil says we're introducing these mixed realities? Jamie, are you jumping in?
I can't use VR. I get motion sick like really badly to the point where I pass out.
Have you
Oculus?
Oh, you tried it? Okay.
Yeah, I tried Oculus Dev Kit 1, Dev Kit 2 in retail and passed out almost every time. And I won't say what else happened, but let's just say I was lying in the pub for maybe 2 hours afterwards. But
wow.
I'll say this. One of my mates who has an Xbox One, like the original one, he said he's going to get an Xbox One X the day he can play VR on it.
Well, that's interesting because I mean, I gotta say, Boom and Crap are big on it. A lot of people, Danny Boy, shout out to Supersonic Station, he's big on it. Myself personally, I love my analogy. For all you guys that are in your 30s, anybody that hung out in an arcade ever before, like we had these great systems at home, it's like that $1.50, $1.75, and $2 machine that was in the back that always came brand new every 6 months, and you had to go try it out, and you played the shit out of it for about a week, and then you were like, all right, I'm done with this.
Back to Mortal Kombat, guys.
Right, back to Street Fighter 2. So like that was exactly it too. Great call, Xbot. But like that's my whole thing. Like I have it right here in the office. I look at it and I'm like, sometimes when I get done with a podcast after talking about it, I'm like, maybe I'll go play. And then I'm like, man, it just cuts me off from my family, my life. I can't hear my cell phone. I can't do anything. I can't even have a drink.
Mooch, the one thing what you guys are talking about with like the setup with it, with the wires and everything like that. See, now that's the thing when it comes to Xbox, like you see what Acer and HP are doing, it's one cord.
That's all there is for the PS4. It's one cord to the.
Well, the new one is crap. The new one.
No, they're all one cord to the headset. It's really not a big deal.
It's one cord that branches into two crap, and then there's the one that comes down in front of you that hooks into
the only one that you're using is the one cord though. It's not two. When you say two, it's like yes, they're two together. But it's one cord that you plug in, and it's a long-ass cord.
Yeah.
It's not intrusive. It's not a big deal. The rest of the stuff it fits in the back of your entertainment center. You don't even see it.
That's true.
It's ridiculous. It's one fucking cord.
Like
it's one crap. Let me tell you something.
You know what I got to do to set mine up? I fucking plug because I don't have the pass-through kind. So I fucking unplug. I have two separate things hanging out the back. I unplug the one, plug it into the other one. I'm fucking ready to go. It takes me 30 seconds.
Crap, but that's not fair, though. That's literally not fair to say because here's the thing. That's like saying if I just cuff your left hand to a wall real quick or a railing. Come on, you can still do your everyday activities with just your right hand. You're right-handed. Just cuff having the fact that we have full motion. I have a wireless headset. I have a wireless controller. I can actually put the controller down, go in the kitchen, make a drink while something's in a load screen, come back. Now you're telling me even that one wire has me hooked to a television.
You just take off your fucking headset. Are you gonna get? You're not gonna get
a headset. It feels very delicate
on wireless headset.
Well, that's what Phil Spencer
said. I throw my
said.
headset down all the time, man. I take it off. I grab a drink. I'm back in.
You don't feel like when you throw it off, like it kind of you feel like it's gonna break when you chuck it.
No, actually, it feels fucking phenomenally built.
It does feel good. The build of it isn't bad. I think it's very light. It's a lot lighter than it looks.
When Microsoft does VR, I'm not as interested in AR, but when they do VR, I'll be in it. You know, like that. I'll be in it to win it, man. That's all.
Phil says he doesn't. Phil says he doesn't want any wires. I don't know if that's that.
You're not going to be able to do that without any kind of wires on that. But I do see a Barra teasing VR and shit. So.
Oh, is he?
I would assume that he was talking about VR, playing it or whatever. So yeah, I mean,
well, that's how he kind of starts his propaganda.
So I would assume that we are going to get some sort of VR. Hopefully, it's not an E3 announcement. I would rather have it, as something else because it doesn't as much as I like VR.
Right,
it's boring as shit to watch them talk about it and show it off because you can't experience VR like that.
Right,
and most people aren't interested. So for the 1% that are interested. Cool, but then you got 99% of the people that don't give a shit. So for me, it's like just slow your roll, stop.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong.
In front of everybody.
I get, and I totally get your pitch. I guess I think what it comes down to is, I mean, you like you say, crap. We could sit here and talk about the one wire, and it's not the end of the world. It's not. I really think it's the fact that you just kind of lose track of everything else that's going on. I feel like it's like. I don't know. I like the social aspect of gaming, and I understand you keep throwing out Star Trek, but except for that Star Trek game, when you're playing VR, it's you in the game.
That Star Trek game is going to be on every VR platform.
It really
it's not even VR anymore. You can do it without VR.
You can play it without it. So, but what were you say, Alan? You were going to chime in on some VR.
Yeah. At the moment, I'm not massive into VR. It's like there's no real games or anything that kind of stand out to me. And I'm just, at the moment, I'm not really a massive VR guy. I recently got the 4K TV and the X, and I'm really enjoying that experience. And I feel like VR is just going to be such a big visual downgrade. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, for me, when I have this 50-inch 4K screen with pretty much pitch perfect graphics, it's like, I want to, that draws me in enough into the experience. But now, I will say this much. When Turn 10 come out and say they're going to update Forza 7 for VR or however they're going to do it when Microsoft does their headset, I'll be first in line for VR.
Yeah,
right. I'll be there. I'll be top of the queue.
Well, there's a lot of people. Noof Nukem actually said that his friend came over. They tried Drive Club. I think it was Drive Club in VR, and he said he really enjoyed it. I mean, I will say there's certain simulators, but Alan, you kind of struck a really good chord right there when you said, it's the same thing with the Switch. This is my biggest issue with the Switch, and you're probably going, Mooch, how the hell you tie in Switch and PSVR? But a lot of times I'm sitting there and I have a PS4 Pro and I have an Xbox One X. I've got these games that look fantastic. It looks like a painting on my television. And then why do I want to do that? Stop what I'm doing there and play like a Xenoblade Chronicles 2 or play a Zelda Breath of the Wild on my Switch or play Doom VFVR. I'm better off playing Doom in its glory on my Xbox One X. That's my other complication that I think is really, really interesting, is that's why I have a hard time also going to do it. But I mean, like I say, for me personally, I love the social aspect of gaming. Anybody who's gamed with me, we have tons and tons of conversation. People are jumping in and out of the chat. It's just a lot of fun, man. And like that doesn't exist when we're playing majority of VR games. But yeah, that's my shtick on that whole thing. I do want to kind of jump into another subject here. Fortnite is getting a 4K 60 update, right, guys? And correct me if I'm wrong. I read this quickly. This is getting more and more stellar to me. I wanna sit here and I wanna hate Fortnite. It's hard to hate this game.
I do.
No, it's fine, and that's fine. Well, listen, I agree with you because I haven't even played 1 minute of it. So
I like the core game,
but it's hard to hate it when it's they're really making strides for gamers. Now, was that you, Salty, who said you can't stand it?
Yeah, man. I've told
Is
people
it the cartoon?
Yeah, I'm a shooter guy, right? That's why I'm on Xbox for the most part. I play all shooters, and I've tried to get into Fortnite. Don't get me wrong. Like it runs
with it.
It's just you can't aim down sights.
Right.
The hit boxes are weird with their guns, the way they fire, the way they shoot. Like you can use the sniper in that game. I've seen videos of people building up to the skies and jumping down in 360, no scoping people on the fly for the win, right? And that shit would never happen in PUBG. The thing is it's optimized. It's good. The 60 frames, yeah, all that's good. But it looks cartoony. It plays cartoony. It just doesn't feel right to me. I don't like the fact that you can find these loot chests everywhere and get some like gold weapon and murder people. I don't like the fact that you can build to the sky and build all these forts. It's just the play style is completely different, and that's why you're seeing this other audience. They're attracted to that game. So you have you have the realistic PUBG that's not optimized at all.
Right.
And then you have Fortnite, right?
So my 10-year-olds, they absolutely love Battle Royale on Fortnite. Yeah.
What's your take though, Salty, on PUBG then?
So PUBG was made by some people, they started off doing a mod, right? And their dev team just isn't up to snuff, and I don't understand why they're not pulling people from the outside, because obviously they're making the money, right? They're making the money
hand over fist
to make this game better, but it just seems like they're lazy in the fact that they're not putting in the money, because like Epic, they have the studio and they have the knowledge and the history. That's why they can get updates out and you see all these cosmetic things and it's optimized. It's just like Bluehole's like, we're making money, so we'll get out this update that's fixed this and it breaks this, and it's like, okay, all right, come on guys,
That's a great point. I didn't even think about that. They're making money hand over fist. Isn't this a good timing actually to go out there and grab a third party and say, bring them in, sub them, and have them come in and help them out a little bit? I mean, why not bring some help in, or actually just Microsoft themselves?
Exactly. And the fact of the matter is that if they don't do this, they're going to get buried. They're already getting the numbers for Fortnite are exploding, right? And then you see the player base for PUBG on the computer. It's dwindling because they're having cheaters there, right? Cheating is a big thing. So it's starting to go down. It's tracking downward. Then we have rumors of, Red Dead 2 and Battlefield coming out with a battle royale mode. If they don't get their act together, this game is just not going to be relevant.
I gotta say, there's some truth to that. There is trends showing that the PC numbers are dropping.
They banned 1 million people in a month. Of course they're dropping. People are tired of cheating. This is the problem with PC gaming to begin with. So
that's true.
Yeah, I just I don't. It's not a big deal. things will level off. That's why when you imagine banning 1 million people, you know,
yeah,
I mean,
but you know, that just goes to speak for the, you know, it's funny whenever you have a lot of PC guys come into the conversation, the first thing they'll say is, no, that doesn't happen. It does happen.
It happens a lot.
And it makes it really, really not enjoyable. I mean, someone like myself who's never really dabbled in the PC world at all, I think it's just the worst thing that you can have happen in gaming. But nonetheless, go ahead, Xbot.
Mooch, I was just going to say, this is a case of what I was talking about with Bluehole and PUBG Core being small, inexperienced, and Epic Games. Now, you remember when Fortnite first came out, you know, you can pay the $40 for, you know, the version and all that good stuff. And people are like, well, is that game going to last until it goes free to play in 2018? Well, here you go, guys. It's lasting, and it's going to go all the way until the entire game is free to play. And it's Epic Games. They're flexing their muscle. They're going out there saying, oh, you guys really want to talk about PUBG? We know what we're doing over here. 4K, 60 frames per second. And guess what? You know, by the holidays of this year, that entire game, all of Fortnite, is going to be free to play, and they are going to have an active user base for a long time with all the options of gameplay that's going on with Fortnite, man.
I've got this on PUBG. PUBG is something I shouldn't like. I love multiplayer games, but it doesn't have that one thing that just keeps pulling me back. Achievements. Yeah, I keep going to it. It's a polished. It's a slightly unpolished turd at the moment, but I can't pull myself away. There's rubber banding everywhere. I'm aiming at someone's running backwards like 5 feet, and I'm shooting at them. I should not like this game, but it's fantastic. But I play that Fortnite Battle Royale thing. I'm aiming at someone. The aiming's all floaty, but what happens? Oh yeah, they build a fucking house around themselves. Pardon me. They build a building around themselves, and that's just not fun. I saw one dude made a tower around himself filled with spikes and stuff. What's that? Battle Royale. Hit someone with a pan, and they're dead.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, McRae in the chat here, he goes, you know, he says he doesn't dabble. He's talking about me. He doesn't dabble in PC yet. He knows. It's not that I know or I don't know, but there's enough articles out, McRae, just to answer this gentleman in the chat. There's enough articles out there that consistently put out every 3 to 6 months. You see major cheating and issues going on in the PC world. I don't have to play it to read the article. It is what it is. That's not all I know is whenever there's cases of reporting of any kind of cheating going on Xbox Live, people on Twitter take to it. They show the 1 or 2 people, and those people are banned, and then the story goes away. It never reaches 2 commas worth of people. You know, okay, never gets the millions. So that's the one thing I know. I don't play on PC, but I see enough articles about the cheating that goes on PC that kind of keeps me wary and keeps me away from that kind of gaming.
Can I just add something in regards to the dwindling numbers on PC? Now, this is food for thought. I don't have any facts. This is just my opinion.
Right.
Is it possible that the dwindling numbers on the PC are due to not only cheating, but people will now game on the Xbox One, which is a closed platform. So instead of gaming there where they're getting cheated on, they're moving over to getting it on now the Xbox One and playing there. Is that a possibility?
I can attest to that. My mate games on PC. He's like rubs it in your face, master race kind of person. He's like, oh, I'm playing this in 4K, 150,000 frames per second. But he's like, you know what? He has an Xbox One. He has an original one, and he loves PUBG on it. But on PC, he can't stand it.
You know, with that being said, I've gone on record on CrossFire, and any of the shows I've been on, saying it would actually be good for Bluehole, to stay when it comes to console, to stay on Xbox. And I know, I agree with you. It's not going to happen. They want to be everywhere. If they can be on your 1998 iPod, they would. But the thing is, at the end of the day, what I think is going to happen, there's a bunch of players playing on PC. At the end of the day, I think they're most like faithful, active user base. Even when it goes multi-plat, it's on the PS4 and everything. You look down the line, it's going to be the players who are playing on Xbox, man. And I think Xbox is going to be the place for the living PUBG for the longest period of time.
That's interesting. No, I mean, I really do think there was one thing that I thought was interesting with the numbers, and I really didn't dig far enough to look into it, but I thought that the numbers were still holding very well for PUBG. And even with the million that were released because of cheating and a few others dwindled, a lot of people in the chat that are playing PC are saying it didn't dwindle. It's still holding at 2 million concurrent, etc. And that may be, and I hope that actually is the case.
There's actually articles out that are pointing to the fact that it is. But again, they just banned 1 million people.
Right, understood. But I think the Xbox One numbers are still going up, is what I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just came out on Xbox One, and it is, even though there's rubber banding and it's not perfect, people love the game, and it's it's very addicting.
But I do want to say before like I said, we don't need to hype on PUBG too much. I do want to kind of reiterate kind of what Salty mentioned earlier. I did like that point that this game's making money hand over fist. It's got Microsoft support. Whether it be Microsoft's first-party studios or their engineers, or I think they call them the Microsoft Ninjas, whoever's got to go in there. Like, I understand it's in preview, so I'm not asking for this thing to be polished next week. But a lot of the stuff that we've been having major issues with since day one, the major issues, they've fixed some of the things that you go, that's neat. Like the fact that, what is it now? You can depress the LS button and you can actually you can aim down sight, right?
Yeah.
But like they fixed some things, but they haven't fixed the rubber banding still occurs. And I know it's less. But
you also can lag out. I tell you what, when I was playing
that happens
the other day, man. Grave was driving me and Hellhammer around. He's the driver. He's gunning it. Next thing you know, he lags out. But the car's still, and you can't jump out because
it's like Weekend at Bernie's is driving your Jeep.
Yeah, it's so you just like at the most inopportune times, like that's what's happening.
Yeah, and that's so the problem.
I actually ran over myself 5 times yesterday.
Wow.
I ran over myself.
There's also weird things like the other day, right? There was this weird motorcycle that was on my screen falling over, picking itself up, falling over, picking itself up nonstop. And so I went to go get on.
Did we lose crap?
Okay, you know what I mean? So I had to be careful. There's some issues, but it's still just such a fun game.
Yeah,
it is.
Like,
really.
Don't get me wrong. It's one of the best games most addictive games that I've had in a while. But one of the main issues that I have is the textures of the rocks looking like N64 graphics. Like, what is that?
They're going to be doing the 4K textures on it though, so
it will go away. But it does currently look like GoldenEye.
Yeah, it was straight up GoldenEye, dude.
Dude, I gotta say, Snaps will come into the room. Like, if I don't have my Xbox on, she'll turn it on and play PUBG just because she likes how much better it looks on my system compared to hers.
Yeah, no, well, the X playing it is day and night. I mean, we know because I've played with Crap and Graves and playing with people that are on the original Xbox. It's day and night. I mean, as far as performance, the rendering when you kind of get in there, all the Graves can't even see anything, Crap, right? The first 5 minutes.
It takes 30 seconds. He's playing on an OG launch Xbox One, so stuff doesn't load in for him for about 30 seconds, like even the doors on the houses. So
that's a big deal.
Yeah, sometimes when he gets in there, like he's been known to get stuck under the stairs because he doesn't realize there's stairs supposed to be there.
Right.
So yeah, it's a weird situation for sure.
Now, Crap, while I got you on here, I do want to change subject slightly. We have the Xbox One X, and you did a video on it today, and I have a question. I don't want to harp on it. It's more for the people to just kind of know who are tuning in. One of the gentlemen that works at Microsoft, Kevin something or another, said about the 1440p update that's going to be coming in the preview.
Yeah, for the X and the S, apparently. So that's interesting.
That is interesting. But here was my question that I didn't hear in your video, and I also didn't pick it up from Kevin. So I understand if you have a 1440p monitor, okay, it'll now adhere to that, right? Does that mean that now if we have an X or apparently an S and I have a 4K television, will now the home dashboard come through not in 1080p? It'll come through in 1440?
No, because it's only a 1080p dash.
That's where I was going with this. How come they're making it? Well, how come they're making it 1440 for certain things and they're not making the dash of 1440?
It just supports 1440p monitors is what it's doing. So if you have there's like right now, right? If you have a monitor, a very popular, like Hellhammer's, his is and Graves, they both have 1440p monitors. Whereas before, even though it does super sample and stuff, you were either on a 1080p or a 4K. There was no in between.
Okay. Can you guys hear anything?
It's now we lost them.
Yeah, I don't know if crap went quiet or the show went quiet for a second there.
Crap went quiet.
A lot of those 14 second lag.
Okay, there it is. Crap, we lost you. Okay, I don't know, because when it goes dead, I can't hear anything. It goes to like complete dead air. So that happened actually last week. It must be a YouTube Friday. I don't know what the hell it is. Brownout. I don't know what the hell's going on. Listen, everybody. I love watching the chat because they're delayed by like about 15 seconds. And then they're like, what happened? Where are people? Everybody's here. No, crap. So basically, this is for people that have 1440p monitors and nothing more.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, that definitely does fulfill an issue that they had and people have been talking about. But myself personally, I was kind of hoping when we had the X, we were going to have the ability to have a 4K dash, which I didn't think was that big of a deal, but maybe I read something wrong.
They had planned to do a 4K dashboard, but the thing was they were going to use one of the extra gigabytes of RAM in the console to do that, apparently. And by opening that up to developers, I was told, that's when they weren't able to do the 4K dash.
That's what I heard too.
Wait, say that again. So it was because what was open to the third-party developers? What was it?
An extra gigabyte of RAM.
Okay, that's what it was. Well, I think it was better spent with the extra gig going to devs. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
With that being said, I do want to kind of turn this over to Sea of Thieves, guys. This is something that, like, you know, it's interesting because you may think we've talked a lot about Sea of Thieves, but then this past week we had a lot of news break. A lot of people's concerns were what was going on, what's going to happen, is this thing going to have legs? It sounds like it's going to have legs, but then on Xbox Nation, crap, you were kind of reporting on a few things, and I thought it was interesting that they do have plans 3 months out to have continued DLC. It'll all be free. That's good news. The concerning news that going back and listening to Xbox Nation was that Rare may not have anything after the first 12 months.
That's where we are.
Isn't that odd?
Yeah, they did say that they didn't have any plans after the year, so that's definitely interesting to me. So, yeah, you can read it. Like they said, hey, yeah, we're not really planning past the end of the year. So,
right.
And I don't know, as far I always looked at it as like a living world type situation.
Yeah,
so they would
looked at it as a GTA Online style game in terms of service model.
Yep. So maybe they're just seeing how successful it is, and if it's super successful, which Craig Duncan said only 1% canceled their pre-order after the beta. So that's huge because a lot of people were assuming that people were just pre-ordering to get into the beta.
Right.
And only 1% canceled. So that's huge. That's huge numbers.
That is huge. It also goes to point the whole Game Pass thing. Apparently, a lot of people aren't going to, maybe they're not going to jump into Game Pass. Maybe people are going to buy this game.
It never was.
It never was.
I'm telling everybody that. After I calmed down.
After you took some smelling salts. No, that was great. I myself personally, so we do know that the Kraken is going to be a random object. We're going to have raids. We're going to start having daily events. Let me tell you something. So here's my thing. To all you guys that hated like Destiny, it is following a lot of Destinies.
Go ahead, Mooch.
I mean, I got to say what's true is true. You know, I mean, you don't have to like Destiny, and I'm not here to sell you on it because Destiny 2, they completely effed up. But that was a them problem.
Right.
The community, and it's funny because the 2 or 3 people that I follow that have huge YouTube channels that do only Destiny content, for some reason, they're still getting their views. So there's still people, like, even if people aren't playing Destiny, they certainly are watching a lot about it. I was shocked to see some of these people that I follow on YouTube that have, you know, hundreds of thousands of Destiny followers, and they're still getting hundreds of thousands of views on every day's video. So the Destiny folks are still out there in the waiting, but Sea of Thieves does have a lot of that Destiny feel to it. The only difference, I think, is, and I think this is a positive for Sea of Thieves is not going to dictate that you have to play every day. Because if I'm playing with Crap and Jamie, Salty, Clowns, and we're all playing, if I step away and play Far Cry for 2 weeks and I come back, in Destiny, you're SOL, guys. Mm-hmm. You're out. You're out. Yep. People, your friends are even going to be like, dude, I love you dearly, man, but you're out. You know, you're way behind. That's not the case with Sea of Thieves. I think Sea of Thieves is going to be an open door. Yes, when you come back, your friends you'll have more gear. They'll probably look better than you. They'll have a better ship, but you can still partake in all of the adventures.
And they might be billionaires too by then.
And they may be billionaires. I'm not really sure. You mean just with gold?
Like the treasure chest, yeah.
Yes.
Take them in.
That's great. Then they can buy me something. I'll mooch it off them. But nonetheless, I mean, what do you guys think? Have you guys been? I know Crap is totally on board and pumped about it. Xbot, Salty, Jamie, where are you guys on the whole Sea of Thieves world? Are you guys hook, line, and sinker, or are you
addicted? Absolutely addicted. Maybe it's because I'm from the Northeast and we like pirates for some reason. We say "I" in general. Sea of Thieves is absolutely incredible. I loved Assassin's Creed 4, not because of the story, and I love Assassin's Creed. I love the whole franchise.
Right.
It's a pirate game. It's a pure pirate game. Yes, it's cartoony, but that's not the essence of it. I could go on that game in the small ship and just sail, and it's fun. I can get a small chest. I can fight some skeletons. People are complaining that there's like only skeletons. I don't care. It's fun. And to be honest, that's what matters at the end of the day. And it looks fantastic already. And they haven't even done the X enhancements yet. So I'm already on board. And I'll actually buy, microtransactions according to some, big YouTubers that complain about everything. But yeah, I'm on board for Sea of Thieves. I think it's fantastic. And I think Microsoft have like a pure hit on their hands. Streamers are going to love this. And as a person that isn't into like a lot of multiplayer games, I like me Battlefield, me Halo and stuff. I'm totally on board, no pun intended, for Sea of Thieves. Like, it's fantastic.
No, that's a great reasoning. What about you, Salt? I want to hear Salty's opinion on it, because just having this conversation with him today, Salty, you're not a big fan of cartoony. Is this one going to win you over?
Well, here's the deal, dude. I had this big argument. It's not an argument. It is a discussion with Fonz, right? Because he was dogging some of the games that had the cartoony look, like the new dwarf game that's coming out. I forgot what it's called, but I'm definitely on board with that because you have guns, you do mining and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So the cartoony aspect it doesn't affect me. The gameplay is what's going to affect the game. It's checking all the boxes, like the fact that they have like all these people that you can get quests from. You can go on quests. You said they're taking the Destiny model, and I think that's a beautiful way to approach it, because obviously they're paying attention to the games that were successful,
right? And
they're trying to implement some of these things. So that's cool. The only thing that I had a problem with was a little bit of the gunplay when I'm shooting at the skeletons. Kind of felt wonky. The lack of variety when it comes to enemies. Hopefully that's taken care of. But everything that I'm hearing, but with the article with Jez, how could you not be excited with all the content that they're planning? Like, they're saying they said that they could potentially update this game on the daily. Like, it's crazy. Like, they're planning amazing stuff going forward. So this game is, it's going to be updated. It's going to have content. I think Rare's back in a big way. We saw that with these numbers on Twitch and on Mixer. We're seeing it with the pre-order numbers. We're seeing it. All these signs are pointing towards a huge success. So I think it's going to be a big thing for Microsoft, and that's a good thing.
Okay, quick question again, but I want to hear Bot and I want to hear Boom, but I like hearing the guests kind of who don't get a chance to always say this out loud. Are you Game Passing it, Salt, or are you buying it?
I have Game Pass right now, and I was kind of like not sold on Game Pass, but like recently I've been playing a lot of games that I normally wouldn't buy. So I have Game Pass, so I might as well get it through Game Pass. So I'll be Game Pass.
No, that's fair enough if you already have it. What about you, James?
I'm buying it day one. I mean, I like the whole Game Pass thing. I tried it for a month, and it's cool. But the thing is, I have most of the games on there anyway. And to be honest, I like to have the thing on my shelf. I know that sounds like 1992 talk, but I just love it. I like looking at my shelf and saying, "Oh, look, Sea of Thieves there. I'll grab it. I'll play it."
Yeah. Now there's something to be said about that.
No, there certainly is, because I'm going to be honest with you. I'm Game Passing it because I have Game Pass since the beginning. But I know Crap will agree with me on this. If they would have had a really nice collector's edition, bet your ass I would have bought that, dude. I don't care if it was
pirate ship collector's edition. But
exactly. It comes with a mini, chest with gold in it, or a pirate ship. I mean, I could listen. If Microsoft is looking for a hire, I'm here. I can.
Xbox Pope designed them a perfect console.
Yes,
that's right. Shout out to the Pope.
gorgeous.
Like, why not use this guy's designs, man? Damn.
I would have bought the console.
A small chest with a skull, a stein inside, some gold coins.
Something. I would, and listen, again, even if it would have been just like the old Gears of War collector's edition where it was a nice thick box, it came with like dog tags, or like how they used to come with the coin. You could have come with a pirate coin. You could have come with an eye patch, whatever. I would have bought it. I would have gladly spent the $90 or $100 on a collector's edition. Like Jamie said, that guy I could sit on my shelf right next to my controller and be proud of. But I think that they kind of whiffed on that. I
want to say, I do have to say this. Everybody knows how I'm on record. I'm not a big fan of, I don't have anything really in my house as a collector's item for gaming, things like that. All these years I've been doing, the only thing I have are the consoles themselves from the old school. But I will say this much. I've learned a lot over the past 3 years, and one of the things I've learned is that the hardcore, which is the audience that you cannot take advantage of, okay? Even your folks, like, I try to always talk to everybody on Xbox Live. I talk to as many people that write me on Twitter, write back, DM them. You don't let your hardcore down, okay? Right. And that's the one thing that I think Microsoft is they've done a great job of communication this generation, right? Mike and Phil, they're talking to people. Aaron's posing with pictures. He's getting like TBCY with people in line. He's having a great time. He's signing sneakers with Shaq this weekend. Listen, he's doing a lot of great things. But the one thing they slipped on was the hardcore fans have been asking for custom consoles and collector edition gaming, and they just aren't fulfilling that request. And I don't understand why, because when you make these, are limited edition, and limited edition's a funny term, right? Because everything says limited edition, and there's still like 80,000 of them. But the 80,000 generally sell out. There's a lot more booms and craps out there than just on CrossFire, okay? So these guys are out there. They love this. That's something that they have dedicated a room in their house or a shelf in their office to these collectibles. I know people that work with me that have these collectibles. They love it. So I don't understand why they dropped the ball, and they really dropped the ball in the custom consoles. Again, I'm not that customer. Myself personally, I like the flat black matte finish. I love it. I love it. I love it. I like things. I like all my electronics to look like they're not there. I like a floating TV and nothing around.
I love my Project Scorpio.
You know what I mean? That's Project Scorpio is fine because yes, it is what it is. But Project Scorpio is pretty much a matte black. It's got a slight design to it, but you got to get up there with a magnifying glass to see it. So it is what it is. I'm okay with that. Go ahead.
When it comes to this game, though, besides the progression, and I gotta say, I am really interested in the progression because I want to become a legendary captain and get that ship that I customize, and spawn into my secret hideout and all that good stuff. Not only that, but when you're doing these missions for these certain groups of people, at a certain point in time, when you become a legendary pirate, which is a step below legendary captain, but when you become a legendary pirate, all of a sudden, a new group, depending on where your allegiance to the most, a new group will come on and give you even harder missions and stuff like that. I love that stuff. But the thing is, the skeleton strongholds, what they did with that and the attention to detail where, you have these skeleton strongholds like scattered throughout the map, right? And you can go and you can attack them, and you have to go and you have to take out the skeleton captain. And he'll give you a key to the vault that's on that island. When you open up that vault, like they could have just put a couple like heavy duty, mad coin treasures in there. But what they did is they put more treasure chests in there than your entire crew can bring back at once. So you actually have to go. You have to everybody takes a treasure, goes back to the ship. But then you have to decide on whether or not you go back for that second run and get the rest of the treasure and bring it back to the ship. Now,
the old greed comes into
that
play.
might seem small, but as you're doing this, there's this huge cloud, this skull cloud hanging over the island with glowing green eyes. And anybody that's on that active map will see that. So you have to decide whether or not you're going to go back for that second and grab all the treasure. And while
that sounds like the Dark Zone done right.
Oh my goodness, dude! Yeah. Like all those little small details in gameplay, it's what's going to keep everything fresh. It's going to keep every kind of interaction different, and I cannot wait. And I'll be Game Passing this, guys. I am in the boat with crap and with Boom. If they did a limited edition, because this is such a different type of game, I would have been first in line over here in Connecticut picking up the limited
No,
edition.
that's a great way for Microsoft to double dip, isn't it? To kind of get your hardcore. You can get them. Isn't that something where you can get people to actually have a year of Game Pass? Then all of a sudden you wave this great collector's edition. They're like, damn, I got to buy it again.
Well, no. Look. Here's a perfect example of what you're saying. I've been paying for Game Pass, right? And you know what? That collector's edition would be opened just to open up the collector's edition to display it, and the disc would never go into the tray. I would have the game in that nice tin, but I would have it on Game Pass, so they got me twice, and I would do it again. That's
public service announcement. Microsoft, please get on this, because then Boom would gift the game to Mooch. So if we could please, hurry this up.
Hey, listen, you already got an Elite controller. You take
That's true. I did. I certainly did. Talk about rolling the dice. I really rolled them with that one
at its finest.
Well, I try to do it on the air, Alan. Okay, I have to reach as many people as possible. Let's talk about this, folks. We have Sea of Thieves, which is going to be massive, coming out March 20th. But just 8 days later, I believe it's on the 28th. It could be the 27th if my dates are off. Far Cry 5 is coming out.
Oh, yes.
And Jamie, I'm right there with you, buddy. I am watching, and you guys know I'm not a fan of IGN, but every once and again, what are you going to do? Okay,
you have to sometimes.
They get the first rights. They get the first rights to it. What am I going to do? I'm going to wait a month till I get the first. So I watched it. It looks fantastic. It's the first time since Voss and Far Cry 3 that Far Cry 4 just didn't do it for me. 5, I think, is going to take off right where 3 left off for me personally. Jamie, what do you think, since you sound pretty hyped about it?
Okay, I'm going to get close to the mic for this. So, Far Cry 5. I love the Far Cry series. I love open world games in general, but Far Cry, there's something special about it. You've got this open world, you've got this massive map cluttered with all these symbols, and you're just like, why? But with Assassin's Creed Origins, I was just like, Ubisoft have learned what they should do with open world games. It's no longer about going to a tower, unlocking all these other things around the map. It looks like they're doing this with Far Cry as well, and that's what they need to do. And there's all this religious stuff going on with Far Cry 5, which I won't talk about here, but it looks intriguing. I mean, Voss was fantastic. The last dude, I can't remember his name. I think it was Jagen Ming or something.
Could have been.
Something like that. But Far Cry 3 set the standard for the villain in a Far Cry game. And in this game, it looks fantastic. You have all these rednecks running around with dogs and stuff, and you have your own dog where you can make them attack them, and then they bring your gun towards them. Game of the year. But honestly, I think it looks fantastic. I mean, we look at every game in this gen. We have had a ton of open world games, literally a ton. But Far Cry 5 just looks refreshing, just looks action-filled. None of that tower nonsense of unlocking all these symbols on the map.
Well, the one thing I want to say, Jamie, to kind of correlate with what you're saying that I like about Far Cry, and I don't know if Far Cry 5 is going to break away and make it worse. I hope they don't. I like, even though the map is semi-cluttered, Far Cry's map, as open world as it is still what I like to call reachable and obtainable, meaning you can get to those locations. You use them you go there on purpose. You want to go to these the gang hideouts, or you know what I mean, and defeat them without the alarms going off, this, that, blah, blah, the other thing. Where I myself personally, and I don't mean this, I know a lot of people are going to start throwing arrows at me. I'm not a big fan of Assassin's Creed, never have been. And when I played Origins, as beautiful as the game is, and I mean, it's absolutely stunning. It's stunning. And Jamie, you have so many great shots that you put out every day of that game. The game is stunning. But to me, I never get engulfed in it, because the story to me in Assassin's Creed, it loses me. The initial thought of it and how Ubisoft presents it is phenomenal. And the minute I start playing it, I'm like, eh. But with Far Cry 3, going through that game and getting out, and I was there with my friends, and then the issues that went on, and some of them got kidnapped, and me going back to get them out. That was just like a Goonies-esque like rampage, which but the R version. You know what I mean? And I mean, I can't be the only one. Is anybody else feeling this Far Cry 5?
I'm with you, Mooch.
I got
Far Cry 3 was brilliant. It really was. They nailed that story.
They really did.
It was great. I was hooked with Far Cry 3. Far Cry 4 didn't interest me so much so that I didn't even buy the game. Primal, I did get, and I quite enjoyed it for the bit I played it, but Far Cry 5 just looks like the series is getting back to, as you say, where it left off with Far Cry 3.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at. No, go ahead, Salt.
Hey, you know how I feel about FPS, but Far Cry is one of those games that I've enjoyed. I didn't pick up Primal for kind of, some of the same reasons that other people have. But it feels like they're returning back to what was special about 3. I like the fact that they're taking out the tower aspect where you have to go to the towers and get all the massive dump of like missions and stuff, and it's more fluid where you talk to people. They give you some hints on where you can pick up some stuff. You got a dog in there. You can pick a shovel up and hit people over the head with it. Who doesn't like that? So
that's always fun.
Well, the one thing that Boom was talking to me about that we haven't even mentioned, and it's a big deal because it'll be the first Far Cry game is the co-op.
Yes, drop in, drop out, 2-player co-op. Hello.
Now, I want to say this, and I want to hear you guys comment on it, please. Is I'm all excited. Listen, I just told you guys, I love the social aspect of gaming. Love it, love it, love it. But because Far Cry 3's memory is me, myself, and I kind of going through the story, I'm wondering, is this a game that you kind of want to play a little bit yourself, or are you guys excited to team up with somebody and go through it with another person?
Well, I'm looking forward to the whole. I'm looking forward to going through the whole game in co-op because I have mates that will only play not multiplayer games, but they'll only do co-op, and they're excited to actually play a story-based game in co-op like Far Cry.
Yeah.
So that could possibly get them into like multiplayer in the future. Okay. And Far Cry 5 looks amazing. Like I've wanted planes in Far Cry since Far Cry 2, and we're finally getting it. And you can do that in this game. You can fly all the way around the map, and there's no limitation to where you can go based on the other player. Like you're all in the same map. And that's something different for the franchise. It's something really new for the game. And that's what I think that's going to set this game apart from the past few.
Well, I tell you what got me excited, and the original trailer, obviously it's a hype trailer, but they show you pinned down behind a truck, and there's 4 guys just letting loose on you, and here comes your co-op player with a 4x4, knocks the car, kills all 4 of those guys. You jump in the truck and you're out. I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. I mean, how many amazing experiences are you going to have where, hey, I see Mooch is on, I jump in, and you're pinned down, and I'm throwing grenades, and I come up from behind the rear, and I'm taking guys out. I'm like, hey, Mooch, I'm here, don't worry about it. I mean, those are amazing experiences, and that's what the online aspect of gaming is why it's so amazing.
Yeah,
because these moments that you experience with your friends is something that you only read about in a book.
Now, Boom, let me bring the first world real problems, right? The first world problems to everybody in gaming. So let's say I'm 4, 5, 6, 10 missions ahead.
Right.
And you're like, hey, Mooch, I've been just so hung up on Sea of Thieves. I'm just getting to it now. Can I join you and be overpowered? Or are they going to say, nah, you're way too many levels ahead?
That's a great question. I don't know. I
have seen a video about this. They're going to level characters depending on the player.
You also have to look at like, hey, I've already gone through a lot of the story that you haven't, so it might spoil it for you. Right. But I think it's awesome that they have the co-op situation. First of all, that's why I'm on Xbox. I'm a social gamer. It's what draws me in. And this just fits in perfectly with that dynamic. I think it adds to the replayability of this game because you could decide to go through the game by yourself, and then you could go through it again with some friends and experience totally different things. So
that's
I think
where I'm at, Salt. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I myself personally, and I'm right there with you. The whole reason I'm on Xbox, and that's my number one reason, is the social aspect of gaming. I think Xbox does it a little bit better than the others. And here's the thing. This is a game where I've had a hard time with a lot of games. And the most recent one was Monster Hunter World, where shout out to Biggie and Scythe Effects. We've been playing through, and some people have more time than others. Everyone's at a different stage in their life. Okay, folks, here's the real life Mooch here coming at you. So some people are working 9 to 5. Some people work 9 to 5, then have a second job. Some people are home all day. Some people are retired. Some people are this. Some people are that. Regardless of what it is, okay, some people are in school, some people have summer break, some people don't. And when you team up and you're like, hey, let's do this together, that works for the first 3, 4, 5, 7 nights. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, you want to play? And you're like, I can't. I got this, and this coming up. And you're like, oh, shit. So your friend isn't necessarily you can't ask anybody to be like, hey, do me a favor. Don't play this game you're loving for like 8 days. I'll be right back. You're like, okay, that doesn't work. So like a lot of times this happens where you get this like overlapping issue where you say, okay, me and Boom started playing this, and now all of a sudden I can't get back for 3-4 days. What ends up happening? Does Boom wait 3-4 days? Does he start his own character over? Does he start? So that's kind of where I was saying, are you guys thinking maybe you'll play? I may actually play, even though this is a game that I can't wait to play in a co-op. Like Jamie, good example is you and your buddy who's like dying to get into a co-op game in Far Cry. I got from the experience that for one of the first times is amazing. What happens when your buddy says, hey, I'm not used to this whole co-op thing. I'm not going to be able to meet up with you for about a week or so. You're not going to wait.
Oh, no, I won't wait.
Right. So when he comes back, you're going to be way ahead of him. And what happens at that point? This is the issue I have with a lot of co-op gaming with story-based games.
As far as I know from Far Cry 5 co-op is that whoever starts the co-op match, it continues from their progression. So you don't actually do like each person's quest at the same time, if that makes sense.
Okay, so it's going to play a lot like Ghost Recon.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, Ghost Recon is fine. I think, Ghost Recon was a great game. I thought it was a little bit of a hodgepodge. It was just so big and so kind of like all over the place. I played with people that would have been playing for so long that by the time I jumped into it, like Noof was one, Boom, you might have even been.
Yeah.
Like, it was so far. You guys were so far ahead of me that it was like you guys were kind of like, it was comical to play the beginning of the game, but it did let you kind of go back and forth. That also being another Ubisoft game. So I think they've really got that down where they let everybody kind of transition and play together. Crap, what about you? Are you in on Far Cry?
Nope.
I knew it.
That was the quickest one-word answer yet.
No, it's not. I know it's not necessarily his forte. Plus, he'll be hung up on Sea of Thieves at that time.
I don't like Far Cry, so.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of games. There's a lot of games coming out in the next X amount of weeks, right, guys? We have a lot of stuff to look forward to. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how everybody kind of like takes this and rolls with it. Last but not least, I just wanted to talk and harp on for the last 2 minutes. Nothing like wrapping up the show with a little Nintendo, and I didn't mean for that to rhyme.
But walking to the door right now.
Yeah, please, folks, don't forget to grab your flyers that you came in with. The Nintendo, is it Labo? Whatever we'll call it.
Yeah.
It's still making a strong push, and the media seems to be behind it. Generally, the media is behind everything Nintendo does. For the most
Except for
part.
the Wii U.
Except for the Wii U. They completely took those 3 years off. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think this thing has legs? I see it. I think it's got a niche market with the kids. I just think that price may set it out of bounds for a lot of families.
Okay, I need to talk about this.
No, go ahead,
Microsoft, Sony, any other publisher spend millions in focus groups, focus testing, trying to see what people like. And I think Labo is a fantastic idea,
right,
for kids. And if adults want to do it, fine. But the thing is, it's like Nintendo do these things where no other company could get away with it. It's like look at Sony, for instance. They did Wonderbook. That failed beyond belief.
Yeah.
And this is more cardboard. It'll do well out the gate, and it'll do well for a while. I'm suspecting, but like it's not gonna do the Switch well, and the Switch is gonna continue to like grow in popularity and whatnot.
I agree with you, Jamie, and the reason I want to kind of just take the baton run with that real quick is that I think it cheapens. It looks like shit.
Yeah,
I mean, the kids playing with cardboard.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's like when somebody was. You remember when we were all kids? Somebody hand you a cardboard box and like, use your imagination. You're like, what? Use my imagination? No, I've got a big high-tech piece of gear in my hand here. I want to actually play this thing. I don't want to.
That reminds me when I used to get the big G.I. Joe sets, and I used to use like the styrofoam in the box as like the base.
Right, dude. I was gonna bring up G.I. Joe. That is freaking
that's
hilarious.
Why we're related, but
no. What I was gonna say is that that's like you flying around in the Cobra Rattler with Wild Weasel, and your friend has one of those dollar ones that you put together with you slide the wing through the little slit, and he's flying around. And you're like, all right, guy, come on, we're playing GI Joes. You're gonna have to stand over there. Yeah.
I mean, I think. Listen, the reason. Let's look at why the Switch really does well. This was kind of a conversation we had on Xbox Nation, but because the chat got into it. The price is right, guys. Right? It's way cheaper than its competitors. Regardless, it doesn't have the power that its competitors have, but it's way cheaper.
Not in the UK.
Oh, it's not in the UK? What's it going for in the UK?
In the UK, you can get an Xbox One and a PlayStation 4 for around 220, and a Switch is like 279.
Now, when you say Xbox One and PS4, are you talking about the vanilla editions?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, so the vanilla editions, and that's fair. No, that's fair to say that. But I mean, I just think that right now, here's the problem. The Labos are the problem with them is they're expensive.
Yes,
and that's where Nintendo is going to run into an factor, I think, because right now you have a cheaper system. It's portable. All this stuff is really hot buzzwords with gamers. It's hot buzzwords with families, casuals. But once you start talking $70, $80, $90, $100 to come home with some cardboard, and yes, the game is included. I totally understand that. But again, it's the game with some cardboard. Like, I don't know if you're going to be able to get those casual people. That's where Nintendo makes its money, is on all those people, right? So, I mean, who else has a Switch here now? Boom. I mean, I know you're Boom. He buys everything, but I don't know. Are you going to even try one for the
No.
shits?
I mean, listen, if it ever came to Five Below and it was in there for $5, I would give it a shot because it's a Nintendo product. But here's the problem: where you're going to see this thing go off the rails is when the first kid breaks the cardboard and they can't use it anymore, and their parents have to go and rebuy another one. Because the kid is so enamored with whatever he was using that he used it so much that it's cardboard. It just gave out.
And they replace it for free, by the way.
Oh, do they? Okay, well then there's the answer to my problem.
Cardboard is replaced for free crap?
Yep, Nintendo replaces it for free.
Okay.
Wow.
Then take then strike my words off.
Well, first of all, listen, that's news I didn't know. That's good to know, crap. But I'll tell you this much: they damn well better. It's cardboard. But like, that's actually the answer that I wanted to hear. But I thought that would just be insane to even think.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that has to happen because, like I say, kids are always walking around with like fruit punch, this and that, blah blah blah. You spill that all over the cardboard, game over, man.
I really need to say this right now. I just looked on Amazon. So there's the robot case that goes for £99. So I think that's like around $120. And that is sold out on Amazon UK. And then we have the variety kit, which is $59.99. So I'm thinking that's like around like $70. That's still in stock, or rarely in stock. And the thing is, one of my mates who has a kid, he has a 3D printer. He's an engineer, and he's going to get the imprint of all this and make it in plastic for his kid because he spills a lot.
Oh, that's great. So you can do because the game doesn't really know whether or not. It's just you have to put the Joy-Con into the appropriate slot.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then you just act it out. All right, that's not bad at all. Then Xbot, I know you're on mute right now, but Xbot, I know you got kids in the house. If you can hear this, I don't know if you can unmute or you can't.
Oh yeah.
Do you guys are Switch owners or not Switch owners?
Actually, OSnaps traded in the Switch to get my X.
Okay, because I knew you had it at one point.
Yeah.
So well, you don't have one now, so the kids are not going to be getting a label.
Well, we wouldn't let the kids touch it anyway, just because we've seen what they've done with tablets.
I don't blame you. I know where you're going with that.
They destroy tablets. I would not give them a Switch to play with. But I mean, at the end of the day, we figured we traded in. The next really big thing for us when it comes to Nintendo would be Metroid. You know what I'm saying? And that's not coming out this year. I don't care what anybody says. That's at least coming out next year. So it's a whole year before we're like, we might want to get a Switch again. So, I mean, other than that, you guys know how I feel about the Labo and that whole cardboard thing. Now, they said they'll replace cardboard, right? But there's one of the peripherals is a gas pedal in which you stick one of your Joy-Con controllers into the gas pedal and then you let your kid step on it, and it's okay because it's held up by a rubber band, people. A rubber band. So yeah, they're doing all this. They're gonna sell a ton of Joy-Cons, like the $50 single one, the like $80 pairs. They're gonna make more money off hardware because of this cardboard than anything.
Somebody in the chat made a good point. I want to give a shout out to Punkdish, who's always been here. Punkdish, thank you for your support over the years, buddy. But listen, here's the thing. He made a good point. He said, how about making these label things cheaper and then making it a very small fee for us to replace the cardboard, which I thought was interesting. Because
to me, it's not about the cardboard, though. It's about letting the kids, because they're wrapping like this hardware up in cardboard. It's about the kids destroying the hardware within the cardboard, yo.
Right. No, I totally agree. I don't know. Salty, do you have a
cardboardception?
Salty, do you have a Switch?
Hey, my buddy Nick, he has a Nintendo channel. I know I started with Nintendo and stuff, but I kind of tailed off and went into the Xbox ecosystem. It's just this Labo stuff it just kind of points to the fact that Nintendo sees themselves as kind of a part-time toy company. The way that they're kind of doing some of the things that they have, some of their merchandise, the way they're treating this Labo situation, it shows that to me. So personally, I definitely wouldn't get this for my kid because she would destroy it literally within seconds. So it wouldn't be a good investment for my family, but I could see people having an interest in it because it's something new, something different. But it's definitely something that only Nintendo could do because I don't know, they kind of walk their own line, right? So
yeah, no, it's another case where you have Nintendo they're just the enigma wrapped in a mystery, wrapped in a puzzle. They're able to do things that other people just can't do. With that, folks, we are hitting the 2-hour mark. Nintendo is always a good way to end it because if you start your podcast with Nintendo, there's no podcast at all. So with that being said, I'll go with my outros. I go reverse order. Let me start with Salty. Salty, honestly, awesome having you here, man. I actually got to know you. I did a podcast with you before. But with the conference, the way it's different podcast to podcast. We can do CrossFire again next week, and just somebody sometimes just goes off on a rant, and you don't get a chance to talk to people. I got a chance to know a little bit more about you, and to be honest with you, awesome having you on the show. I hope you come back on. Let people know where they can find you in the podcast you're on, bro.
Oh, for sure, man. I appreciate the offer to come on, and I had a blast talking games with you guys. Like I say all the time, I'm passionate about gaming. I'll talk to you on the street corner, in the supermarket, no matter where we are. Nice. I love talking about it because it's a passion. So I loved it. You guys can find me on YouTube, Saltiest Gaming. 2 words. Saltiest Podcast is a podcast that we've been doing on Sundays. This Sunday is going to be the last night that we're doing it. We're going to be moving the podcast to Thursday because it works better for people's schedules. So you can find us on Thursdays going forward at 8:30 Eastern. So we're excited about that. And yeah, I'll put out content on the daily about Xbox centric stuff. So yeah, find me on Twitter, Saltiest Gaming. The I is a 1, and that's it.
Very cool, Salty. Again, thank you for being here, bro. And it won't be the last time. Look for a Mooch invite again real soon, bro. Cool. Appreciate it. Hey, James, how about you over there in the UK, buddy? It's got to be what now? 2 o'clock? We're flirting with 2 o'clock over in the UK?
Yeah, but I'm probably going to be up for another 6 hours.
Where can people find you, bro? Thanks for coming on the show.
On Twitter is Jamie Man UK, and on YouTube is The Elusive Gamer. But I have a big video coming out this next week because I have a bunch of info on Cyberpunk 2077.
Nice. Very
awesome.
Nice.
That's very exciting.
Oh, what? Oh,
and when I say a bunch of info, I mean 3 pages of info. Which I've held off from making a video for a while, but I'm going to do it soon. It should be up on if it's Friday today, Monday probably. Yeah, I've enjoyed coming on tonight. It was a pleasure. It was an honor. Thank you.
Awesome, Jamie. Good to have you. You'll be back on again for sure. And I'll go down some of my usual suspects. Alan Walsh, buddy, fullthrottle.com. Thanks for being here tonight. Thanks for setting the truth straight with that E3 floor room garbage. I appreciate you letting the masses know what that place and what E3 is really all about.
Yeah, no worries at all. Honestly, the E3 show floor stuff was just,
it's really nothing, but it's so funny.
People were talking about it this week. It's amusing. So yeah, it was nice to kind of set the record straight on that one. But yeah, thanks for having me again on the show. It's always a pleasure. You can find me online on my social channels at Beetle Comment on pretty much everything. The website is fullthrottlemedia.co.uk, and there's been a lot of Forza 7 stuff this week, so we got a ton of Forza 7 articles out. So if you're interested in some of the new updates they've added to the game, go check that out.
Very cool, Alan. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Xbot448, who did a hell of a job muting all of his cell phones tonight, bro. Awesome job, bro.
Cell phones, vaping sounds. I couldn't get the Silent Hill siren out of there, though.
That's okay, man. Let's not get rid of everything, okay? Small steps.
I live in a small town. Why the hell is it so noisy?
It's all right, but it's all part of the show. We appreciate it, man. Where can people find you this weekend?
Of course, we have the next podcast going on my channel, my YouTube channel, which is Xbot448. I am going after K Mega hard. He won with some SSX gameplay, and I looked at the gameplay. I'm like, man, this guy does not know what he's doing. So I am coming back with a tutorial of how to play SSX. Yeah. So
exposed.
What's up?
Just had exposed.
Yeah, exposed, man. Nah, huge shout out to K Mega. He always gives me a bunch of different gameplay, each and every week, man. He works hard to keep a variety going. So it's really awesome. But I am taking the crown back this Saturday. We do vote for who has the best gameplay at the end of the show. The show starts at 7 p.m. on Saturdays. Follow me on Twitter. It's at xbot448. So this way when I drop videos, when I go live on the various live podcasts that I'm on. It was a fire panel, a fire chat. As always, CrossFire, man.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it, xBot. And then our buddy Clowns down there in Florida. Clowns, we should just change you from Clowns to Hacker Clowns. Buddy, no, thanks for being here. 4 Guys with Quarters was an awesome show. Good to see. Now, I didn't get a chance to tune in yet. I usually watch on Thursdays. Last night I missed. Did Zebra Fries actually go on cam? She was talking about it.
Yes.
She's back on cam, folks. There you go. And Inferno.
And I dropped a lot of positive thoughts on Sea of Thieves. More positive than the crap could ever be in Sea of Thieves.
Really? That's almost impossible. I beg to differ. But no, great. Where can people find you guys, Clowns?
4 Guys with Quarters on YouTube, 4GWQ Podcast on Twitter, everywhere else on Google, and on CrossFire and other podcasts.
Great. And on the dark web, apparently. Clowns is everywhere. Clowns is everywhere. And then, Senora Boombastic with the big announcement. Boom, where can people find you? People have been chewing their fingernails the whole 2 hours. What are you doing? What's going on?
Okay, well, in the last couple of weeks, the fine folks at G4G Media, Moxie and Avers, have been meeting with me secretly in the Boom Cave. And I'm very excited to announce that we're going to be, in the next few weeks, we're going to be launching our own podcast.
Nice. Very
good.
Nice.
Podcast. Damn.
The 3 of us we have some big plans for, it's going to be a regular podcast, yes, but we're in the process of trying to get some industry insiders on as guests.
Nice.
And we've been working together to try and put this together. For the last couple of weeks, we've been having meetings, and we're all super excited. But we don't have a name. The name of the show and the actual particular details, what day and what time, that is being held back. We're going to make announcements in the next few weeks. So just, keep tuned to our Twitter accounts and we'll make an official announcement with all the information. And we hope to see everyone come and hang out in the chat and give us the support. We would, we're all really excited to bring something new to the podcast scene.
Very cool. Boom. You got my support. I'll be there. You, Avers, and Moxie are just great people. Great people. You guys do a lot for the community, and we really appreciate it. And certainly not least, my buddy, Crap Gamer. Crap, where can people find you this weekend, buddy?
Crap Gamer Reviews.
Yes, that is the world record for the shortest outro of all time. I love it.
Wait a minute. Did he drop any videos?
Absolutely. Have you not known?
Sabotage.
No, like wait an hour before the show started.
An hour before the show he did it. I watched it before the show. I want to give a quick shout out real quick to Rasta Solja, I think is his name. And crap, he donated a month of Game Pass for MNC Mornings. So,
oh man, a month of Game Pass.
Pass, that's a quarter of a gold bar these days. Crap.
That is.
So that is a big deal. So I do want to say
we had our own currency. Like we had everybody was donating Game Pass. Yes, it was worthless.
Well, there's cash, there's Bitcoins, and there's Game Pass.
Yeah, exactly.
Bitcoins, man. I'll take the Bitcoins off your hands.
So we've got that going on, guys. Can't thank everybody enough. We have got Crossfire next week. It'll be, again, Friday, 7 o'clock. We do have a special guest next week as well. Tune in. I'll let everybody know as we get a little closer to the date. But I think everyone's going to really enjoy it. Going to be good to get this person's 2 cents on the gaming industry and gaming in general. With that being said, we'll see you guys. MNC Mornings may be on Monday morning. We may be. We may not. We'll let everybody know this weekend. Enjoy your weekend, guys, and game on.